माननीय सभासदों, माननीय अध्यक्ष जी,
विद्वानों के बीच में आना पड़ता है ना।
माननीय सभा members to the Patnaik Ila Ramesh Bhatt this house and Seva, one of the largest women's cooperatives with over 2 million members from across the country and in neighboring nations. Srimati Ila Ramesh Bhatt was the recipient of several national and international awards, including the prestigious Raman Magsaysay Award in 1977. She served as a nominated member of this House from May 1986 to September 1988. In the passing away of Srimati Ila Ramesh Bhatt, the country has lost a noted social activist, a doyen of women empowerment, and a distinguished parliamentarian. Sri A. Jinnah passed away on the 14th of November 2022 at the age of 81 years. Born in February 1941 at Tiruvarur in Tamil Nadu, Sri Jinnah, an advocate, served as legal advisor to state transport of the government of Tamil Nadu. He served as a member of this House, representing the state of Tamil Nadu from April 2008 to April 2014. In the passing away of Sri A. Jinnah, the country has lost an eminent advocate and an able parliamentarian. We deeply mourn the passing away of Sri K.R. Jaydevappa, Sri Syed Sifti Raji, Srimati Jayanti Patnaik, Sri Ahmad Saeed Maliabadi, Srimati Ila Ramesh Bhatt, and Sri A. Jinnah. I request honorable members to rise in their places and observe silence as a mark of respect to the memory of the departed. Secretary General will convey to the members of the bereaved family our sense of profound sorrow and deep sympathy. Honorable members, before we proceed further, I need to share my thought with you that in this House, if there is any departure from established rules, that does not send a good signal either to the country at large or to other theatres of legislature. I would urge all of you to reflect and scrupulously follow the rules. If one occupying the chair is on legs, a certain kind of decorum is required. I have seen violation of this. I would urge all of you, whomsoever may be in the chair, including myself, we must follow the rule. You all are aware of it. I am sure you will bear that in mind. Papers to be laid on the table. Secretary General.
Sir, with your kind permission, I rise to lay on the table a statement in English and Hindi showing the bills passed by the Houses of Parliament during the 257th session of Rajya Sabha and assented to by the President.
Shri Nityanand Rai.
माननीय सभापति महोदय, मैं आज की कार्यावली में क्रमांक संख्या 1 पर मेरे नाम के सम्मुख उल्लेखित दस्तावेज सभा पटल पर रखता हूँ।
श्रीमती अन्नपूर्णा देवी।
माननीय सभापति महोदय, आपकी अनुमति से आज की कार्यावली सूची की क्रम संख्या 2 पर मेरे नाम के सामने उल्लिखित दस्तावेजों को मैं सभा पटल पर रखती हूँ।
श्री वी मुरलीधरन।
Respected Chairman, sir, with your permission, on behalf of my colleague Sri B.L. Verma ji, I rise to lay the papers listed against his name at serial number 3 in today's list of business.
Message from Lok Sabha, Secretary General.
Sir, with your kind permission, I rise to report that the Lok Sabha at its sitting held on 8th August 2022 passed the New Delhi International Arbitration Center Amendment Bill 2022. I lay a copy of the said bill on the table.
Report of the Department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee on Industry, Shri Tiruchi Siva और श्रीमती सुलता डियो।
Honorable Chairman, sir, I rise to present the 318th report of Department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee on Industry as listed against my name.
Statement by Minister Shrimati Smriti Zubin Irani.
With my compliments to the Chair and with your kind permission, sir, I wish to make the following statement. In pursuance of the provisions of Rule 35 of Procedure and Conduct of Business, I wish to inform the House status of implementation of recommendations contained in the 334th report of the Department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee on Education, Women, Children, Youth and Sports on issues related to safety of women pertaining to the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Additionally, sir, with your kind permission, in pursuance of the provisions of Rule 35 of Procedure and Conduct of Business, I wish to inform the House status of implementation of recommendations contained in the 338th report of the Department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee on Education, Women, Children, Youth and Sports on demand for grants 2022-23 pertaining to the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Thank you, sir.
I have to inform members that the panel of Vice Chairman has been reconstituted with effect from 5th of December 2022 with the following members: Shri Bhuvaneshwar Kalita, Shri L. Hanumanthaya, Shri Tiruchi Siva, Shri Sukhendu Shekhar Ray, Dr. Sashmit Patra, Ms. Rose Pandey, Shri Surendra Singh Nagar. I have to inform members that the Business Advisory Committee, in its meeting held on the 6th of December 2022, has allotted time for government legislative business as follows: consideration and passing of the Biological Diversity Amendment Bill 2021 after it is passed by Lok Sabha, 4 hours. Consideration and passing of the following bills after their introduction: 1. The Constitution, Scheduled Tribes Order, 5th Amendment Bill 2022, 2 hours. The Constitution, Scheduled Tribes Order, 4th Amendment Bill 2022, 2 hours. The Constitution, Scheduled Tribes Order, 2nd Amendment Bill 2022, 2 hours. The Constitution, Scheduled Tribes Order, Third Amendment Bill 2022, 2 hours. The Multi-State Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill 2022, 4 hours. Motion for election to the council established under Section 31(1) of the Institute of Technology Act 1961, Dr. Subhash Sarkar, to move a motion for election of one member to the council established under subsection 1 of Section 31 of the Institutes of Technology Act 1961.
Honorable Chairman, sir, with your kind permission, I rise to move the motion of election of one member from amongst the members of the House to be a member of the Council established under subsection 1 of Section 31 of the Institutes of Technology Act 1961, mentioned against the name of my colleague, Cabinet Minister Sri Dharmendra Pradhan in today's list of business.
Motion moved. Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those against will say no. सर आपने तो ठीक कहा मौसम बदल गया है I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the motion is adopted. Motion for election to the Council of National Institutes of Technology, Science, Education and Research, Dr. Subhash Sarkar, to move a motion for election of one member to the Council of National Institutes of Technology, Science, Education and Research.
Honorable Chairman, sir, with your kind permission, I rise to move the motion of election of one member from amongst the members of the House to be a member of the Council of National Institute of Technology, Science, Education and Research, that is NITSER, mentioned against the name of my colleague, Cabinet Minister Sri Dharmendra Pradhan ji in today's list of business.
Motion moved. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Statement by Minister Shri S. Jaishankar.
Honorable Chairman, sir, I rise to apprise this august House of the key foreign policy engagements and initiatives taken by India since the monsoon session, which ended on 8 August 2022. During this period, Indian diplomacy continued apace. Honorable President, Honorable Vice President, and Honorable Prime Minister interacted with a number of their foreign counterparts in India and abroad. We also participated in events linked to the G20, the SCO, and the ASEAN, while hosting a number of foreign dignitaries in India. This included the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres of the United Nations. I myself visited a number of nations, as did our Minister of States, and we received many of our counterpart colleagues here in India. Together, these activities reflected India's growing interests, expanding footprint, and more intensive partnerships. Through these efforts at multiple levels, we were able to advance our national objectives in a world that is increasingly beset with uncertainties, disruptions, and rivalries. Honorable President met Her Majesty Queen Maxima of Netherlands, who visited India from 29 to 31 August 2022 in her capacity as the UN Secretary General's Special Advocate. Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, also called on Honorable President during her state visit to India. Honorable President's first overseas visit was to the United Kingdom to attend the funeral of the late Queen Elizabeth II. Honorable Vice President represented India at the India-ASEAN Commemorative Summit at Cambodia, which elevated the India-ASEAN relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership. He also attended the 17th East Asia Summit, which is an important forum to promote free, open, inclusive, and rules-based Indo-Pacific. Apart from bilateral engagements in Phnom Penh, he visited UNESCO World Heritage temples at Taprom and Angkor Wat, where conservation and restoration work has taken place with India's support. Furthermore, on the invitation of His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Amir of Qatar, Honorable Vice President attended the opening ceremony of the FIFA World Cup 2022. This reflected India's long-standing relationship with Qatar, which is home to over 8.5 lakh Indian nationals. Honorable Prime Minister participated in the Samarkand summit of the SCO Council of Heads of States, where India assumed chairmanship of SCO. As chair of SCO, India's priorities are to advance the theme of secure, articulated by the Prime Minister initially at the SCO summit in Qingdao in 2018. Secure stands for security, economic cooperation, connectivity, unity, respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity, and environment. At Samarkand, Prime Minister voiced global sentiment when he declared that this was not an era of war. His statement was in the context of the Ukraine conflict, where our advocacy of dialogue and diplomacy has been consistent and persistent. It has a larger resonance as well. We have also extended support on specific concerns such as supply of food grains and fertilizers, as indeed on security of nuclear installations. Our position has been broadly appreciated by the international community and finds reflection in the G20 Bali Declaration. I am very happy to inform the House that Kashi has been designated as the first SCO cultural and tourist capital for 2022-23. This would facilitate showcasing of our age-old knowledge inheritance and our rich social and cultural heritage. The Prime Minister also attended the state funeral of the late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe of Japan, who was a particular friend of India. In his meeting with his counterpart, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, Prime Minister noted the invaluable contributions made by Shinzo Abe to strengthening India-Japan relations, as well as conceptualizing the vision of a free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific region. Both PMs renewed their commitment towards enhancing India-Japan strategic and global partnership and to work towards promoting regional and international cooperation. The Secretary General of the United Nations, His Excellency Antonio Guterres, paid an official visit to India from 18-20 October and joined Prime Minister in Kevadia to jointly launch the Lifestyle for Environment, LIFE initiative. Heads of state and governments from France, UK, Estonia, Georgia, Maldives, Nepal, Madagascar, Mauritius, Argentina, and Guyana contributed with the messages of support for the LIFE initiative. Allow me, Chairman Sir, to now turn to the subject of G20. As the House is aware, the Prime Minister attended the Bali G20 summit recently, and we soon thereafter assumed its presidency. G20 is the premier forum for global economic cooperation, representing around 85% of the global GDP, over 75% of worldwide trade, and about two-thirds of the world's population. Prime Minister has noted that India's presidency of the G20 during the year of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is a matter of pride for every Indian. The G20 meetings have already commenced in India, and our endeavor is to organize about 200 of these meetings in 32 different sectors in multiple locations across India. The G20 summit is to be held next year, and it would be one of the highest profile international gatherings to be hosted by this country. During the G20 Bali summit, held under Indonesia's presidency, India extended fullest support to ensure its success. Our contribution to finding a common ground among members in a polarized environment was widely appreciated. Prime Minister also held discussions with counterpart leaders on key issues of global concern. They focused mainly on reviving global growth, ensuring food and energy security, promoting technology, preserving environment, and addressing public health and digital transformation. As is customary, many of these opportunities also provided an occasion to take stock of our bilateral relationships. Since we are assuming that responsibility, this was also a time to seek the support and cooperation of all G20 members for the success of India's presidency. Honorable members are aware that the G20 is taking place in the larger context of a geopolitical crisis. Food and energy insecurity, slow progress on sustainable development growth, mounting debt burden, and challenges to climate action and climate justice. Our endeavor is to build consensus within the G20, champion causes, especially of the Global South, and shape the setting of the agenda. This will also be an occasion for us to highlight the 3 Ds of India: development, democracy, and diversity. In our global engagements, we have discerned strong interest in India's digital delivery, public health response, green growth and development, as well as the empowerment of all sections of society. There is also an enhanced interest in our democratic traditions, which go way back in our pluralistic and consultative culture. We envisage the G20 presidency as an occasion to showcase India to the world. This will be done through cultural activities, regional festivals, technology programs, sustainability initiatives, millet promotion, one district, one product promotion, community engagement, and civil society activities. Our presidency will witness a Jan Bhagidari, where all of India would not just participate, but celebrate this occasion. As the House is aware, government has briefed leaders of political parties in this regard. We see this as a truly national endeavor and seek the cooperation of everybody to make it a success. I would also like to highlight that India will provide a stronger voice to issues of interest of the Global South. This is very much a part of our DNA. It was in evidence most recently during the vaccine Maitri. Our emphasis will be on sharing the India story, caring for all, and taking collective action. It will focus on emphasizing our achievements and priorities such as digital India, clean energy, sustainable lifestyles, women-led development, and multilateral reforms. Prime Minister's initiative on lifestyle for environment, and India's millet initiative, which has resulted in the UN declaration of the year 2023 as the International Year of Millets, would also be prominent in India's approach towards addressing the SDGs. Today, we are building stronger bridges with both developing countries and advanced economies. Apart from our G20 presidency, we are members of a growing number of groups and mechanisms. Some of them are relatively established, like the BRICS and Commonwealth. Others have been more recent, like the Quad and SCO, and still others are emerging, like the I2U2 and the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. We are also increasingly engaging the world in group formats, reflecting the growing interest on their part to cooperating with India. This could be with the ASEAN, with Africa or the Pacific Islands, or indeed the Nordic nations, CARICOM, CELAC, or Central Asia. Our growing collaboration with the European Union is of particular importance. Chairman, sir, I would like to share with the House that the ministers of MEA have been equally active during this period. I have myself hosted the foreign ministers of Maldives, France, Singapore, Botswana, United Kingdom, Ghana, Gabon, Belarus, Syria, UAE, and Germany in this period. I would also highlight the India-Singapore Ministerial Roundtable and the collective interaction with 12 African ministers dealing with education and skills who were here at the invitation of my colleague Dharmendra Pradhan that took place in Delhi. It would give the honourable members a sense of the breadth of our engagement and the growing global interest in India. This was also in evidence during my outgoing visits to Thailand, Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, UAE, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Uzbekistan, USA, Australia, New Zealand, Egypt, and Russia. It was my privilege to represent India at the UN General Assembly high-level segment this year. I took the occasion to engage with the G4, the L69, Quad, IPSA, BRICS, CELAC, and CARICOM, and hold multiple trilaterals and bilaterals. Our ministers of state have been equally vigorous in promoting India's interests abroad. Sri Muralidharanji went to Brazil, Senegal, USA, Oman, Djibouti, Kenya, Eritrea, and Nigeria. Srimati Meenakshi Lekhiji represented India at the SICA summit at Kazakhstan and visited Georgia, Norway, Iceland, and Malta. Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan Singhji was our representative at the IORA Ministerial and visited Indonesia. So, the House would also be aware that as the chair of the Counter-Terrorism Committee of the UN Security Council, India hosted its special meeting in October. All 15 members participated and paid homage to victims of the 26/11 terrorist attack at the Memorial Wall in the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel. This was the first time that the UNSC held a meeting in India. The Delhi Declaration emphasized the need to display zero tolerance towards terrorism and to combat it in all its forms and manifestations. Chairman, sir, I'm happy to inform the House that after a gap created by COVID, India will be hosting the 17th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas at Indore from 8 to 10 January 2023. This year's theme acknowledges the contributions of Indian diaspora as, quote, diaspora, reliable partners for India's progress in Amrit Kal, unquote. The 32 million Indian diaspora is a great source of support for our country. India's 4C commitment of care, connect, celebrate, and contribute would be on display during these celebrations. His Excellency President Mohammad Irfan Ali of Guyana will be the chief guest of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas 2023. Where Republic Day 2023 is concerned, we have invited His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of Egypt as the chief guest. He has graciously accepted the invitation. Honorable members would also be glad to know that the 12th World Hindi Conference will be jointly organized by India and Fiji from 15 to 17 February 2023 at Fiji. This will be the first occasion for hosting this event in the Pacific region. Chairman, sir, foreign policy today is no longer just an exercise of a ministry or even simply that of the government. It has a direct impact on the daily lives of all Indians. This may be in ensuring that our products have market access or that our talent gets into the global workplace. But it is equally an effort to ensure that technology, best practices, and capital flow into India. Our endeavor in a difficult global situation is that the welfare of the Indian people is ensured, however challenging the circumstances. This may be in exceptional situations like Operation Ganga in Ukraine, or the ability to access key necessities like energy and fertilizers on affordable terms. Or indeed, in concluding migration and mobility partnerships, as we have just done with Germany. Indian foreign policy is there to serve the Indian people. We will do whatever it takes to discharge that responsibility. It could be in ensuring international support for our policies or in the acceptance globally of our interests and objectives. These may be difficult times, but it is also an occasion to display our leadership and make a strong contribution to global peace, stability, growth, and security. Honorable members know this well and understandably approach the ministry sometimes with their particular concerns and issues. It has been our earnest effort to respond as effectively and as sincerely as possible to their communications. We are extremely conscious that foreign policy must respond to the requirements and demands of our society. We demonstrate that as much through the activities of our embassies abroad as we do at home through improved passport and immigration services. I have every confidence that this august House does appreciate both our promotion of national interests abroad as well as our responsiveness to the daily requirements of our people. I conclude with the expectation that the House will continue to extend its fullest support to our efforts and encourage our success in the G20 presidency in particular and foreign policy in general. Thank you so much.
सर, G20 में भी मुलाकात हुई होगी, कई जगह मुलाकात हुई होगी। क्या जहां हमारे 20 जवानों की शहादत हुई, उस चीन सीमा के संदर्भ में जहां चीन ने बलपूर्वक कब्जा किया, कोई वार्ता आपकी हुई है? बस इतना ही जानना चाहता हूं। आप बताना चाहे बताएं, और अगर बताने लायक ना हो तो मत बताइएगा।
I think one second. I had made an appeal to the honorable members, and you are more cognizant than I am. This is a House of Elders, the upper house. We are required to conduct our proceedings in a manner that generates an ecosystem of emulation all over. The Honorable Minister has imparted a very thorough statement. Members of the House are entitled to seek clarifications. In a methodical manner, input has been made available to me. I would be happy that others also follow the same system. Dr. Amar Patnaik.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. I'd like to thank Honorable External Affairs Minister for a very detailed and expansive statement about India's foreign policy outreach, as well as meeting domestic requirements. I have just two clarifications to ask to Honorable Minister at paragraph number 12. There is a general statement at a number of paragraphs regarding India's leadership role in the technology front. On the specific question of trusted cross-border data flow, as well as to deal with virtual digital assets, would India be considering promotion of a global body to have a principle-based global order on the lines of the WTO, or would it like to do this entire thing within the ambit of WTO? The second clarification, sir, is that all over the world, wherever I travel, the question of inequity, particularly in the areas of health, area of education, digital inequity, these arise, but in Africa, for example. Would India be taking the lead in putting this particular ethos in the G20 and represent the least developed countries of Africa, Asia, and Southeast Asia to the global north? Thank you so much, sir.
Honorable Minister.
Sir, with regard to the clarification sought on digital.
Minister, finally, the Honorable Minister would respond. I have another list with me, just given to me, Shri Waiko. We have three more names, Honorable Minister. Initially, there was one.
Honorable Mr. Chairman, sir, the statement given by the Minister shows very clearly that our mutual interests with other countries and our positive approach towards other countries. But I would like to know, Geneva, under the United Nations, It is the very important organization. There, when the voting took place regarding Sri Lanka, for what reasons India abstained from voting, this is my first clarification I want to reply from you. Second thing, at our doorstep the genocide took place. Lakhs and lakhs of Tamils were killed, and women were raped, and children were killed, and the previous government gave weapons. That is different. But now, when all these things have happened, you are giving support now to Sri Lanka. But Sri Lanka has leased out Hambantota port to China, and recently also Chinese warship landed in the port, compromising our national security and coastal security. It will have a serious bearing on India's security and economic and strategic interests and maritime and coastal facilities. On this important issue, what steps you have taken to protect the interests of India?
Professor Manoj Kumar Jha.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman, sir. My compliments to you on assuming a charge. My first compliment to Honorable Minister, sir. It is very comprehensive. You almost touched every aspect of it. But there are certain concerns which I would like to know from you. Many a time when we read about Government of India's stand or position paper, it seems that the foreign policy has only been shaped by after 2014. So this 2014-centric approach of foreign policy undermines the people and the processes which were involved since 1947. Number one, sir. Number two, India had a very stated position, Honorable Minister, sir, through you, Honorable Chairman. In a conflict between oppressor and the oppressed, India never was neutral. Between a fight between an elephant and an ant, if your neutrality helps the elephant, I think there somehow, recent developments in Gaza, I think I didn't hear anything from Government of India. And finally, between Ukraine and Russia, it was a very, very delicate chapter. We have our versions different from you, but whatever I think you could create a space, you did. But it could have been better. Thank you so much, sir.
Dr. John Bitas.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Let me also congratulate you taking this opportunity. I'm glad that the Honorable Minister made a very detailed statement touching every point. At the same time, I support my colleague Mr. Manoj Jha that he has avoided dealing with the Palestinian cause for which India has been always steadfast. So I would request the Honorable Minister to have his response on that. So the second clarification is that there have been a lot of talk regarding the extent of pressure exerted by the West on India with regard to the purchase of oil from Russia. The Minister has been very diversionary on that point. I would request him to obviously pronounce his mind on that. So the third point is that there has been a price cap imposed by the European Union with regard to the oil price from Russia. How it is going to impact the purchase of oil from Russia vis-a-vis India and Russia. So the fourth point is that, is it not a fact that the chairmanship of G20 is on a rotational basis? And if so, the theme that one earth, one family, one future, will the government respect the diverse culture of India while campaigning on this slogan? And the last point, sir, not the least, sir, there have been thousands of students who have come back from Ukraine. And there was a statement by the Honorable Minister last time. I would like to know from the Minister whether all these students have gone back to Ukraine or how he has facilitated the study further. Thank you, sir.
Shri Tiruchi Shiva.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, sir. Sir, we appreciate our Prime Minister's voice at Samarkand, declaring that this is not an era of war. But the Ukraine war is still going on. The people there are undergoing so much of struggle. They are struggling for basic food and everything. Other than the students who have come here, whose future is still in a question and they have not yet been resolved. In a humanitarian consideration, India has always intervened wherever there is some problem for any human being in the world. So in this context, what are the steps our government is taking to put an end to this war and save the people of Ukraine, as well as to restore the students who have returned from there, to find a way for those students who have returned from Ukraine? Thank you, sir.
Shri Thambi Durai.
Thank you very much for giving the opportunity. Sir, our Honorable Minister gave detailed explanation and statement regarding the foreign affairs thing. I appreciate him. And also, especially G20, which is going to take place, is a very is a good for our Indian country. Our Modi ji has taken a lot of efforts, I appreciate. But, sir, as our Honorable Member Vaikoji raised on issue, Sri Lanka Tamil issue, apart from that, Sri Lanka and India had a pact to solve the Sri Lankan Tamil issue, that I am giving some amendment and protect the rights. What is the stage now? That is, at the time, Jayavardhane and Honorable former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, they made an agreement. Whether the government is very seriously insisting that to get the, because when we are conducting a program, the G20, it is a prestige for India. At the same time, our neighbor, our brothers who also has said diet and also for certain causes. But what is the fate of that fact? Whether government India has taken a serious step on this thing?
Mr. Sujit Kumar.
Sir, I will certainly commend the Honourable Minister for his detailed statement on India's foreign policy and for providing competent leadership. Sir, I have a specific query for him. Sir, while all eyes are on the World Cup in Qatar, sir, little is known about the fate of 8 Indian ex-naval officers who are in detenue in that country for close to 100 days now. Sir, as per newspaper reports, they were picked up in the middle of the night from their home and are kept in solitary confinement since 30th of August. And consular access was provided to them only on 3rd of October. Sir, the family members have expressed serious concerns about the health, mental harassment of the ex-heroes of our country. And sir, it seems that MEA is not very forthcoming on what dialogue is going on with the Qatari government to secure and seek their release and repatriation. And also, sir, it is believed that this has been done and they have been charged with espionage, apparently at the behest of one of our neighbor, unfriendly neighbor. So, sir, through you, sir, I would like to know from the Honourable Minister, what are the steps being taken by the Government of India to seek the release of our former heroes? Thank you.
Mr. Pramod Tiwari. No, he was interrupted. I asked him to take seat because it had not come through a method. Go ahead.
सर, मेरा सिर्फ एक विनम्रता पूर्वक राष्ट्र हित में एक सवाल है कि मिले होंगे आप, वहाँ अच्छी बात भी हुई होगी, G20 में भी मिले थे और जगह मिले थे। हमारे 21 जवानों की शहादत हुई है भारत चीन सीमा पर। कुछ भूभाग भी उन्होंने काफ़ी कब्जा कर रखा है। क्या उसके संदर्भ में कोई वार्ता हुई हो तो आप अवश्य बताएं, पूरा राष्ट्र जानना चाहता है, ये आवश्यक है। बहुत ही बहुत धन्यवाद।
Mr. Vinod Vishwam.
Sir, thank you. Sir, the statement made by the Honorable Minister Jaishankar ji is so important to the contemporary times. And the keen interest the House attributed to him shows that how important it is for this House also. I am grateful to the Minister and for his broad-heartedness. So on certain questions, I share the views raised by my colleagues like Manoj Kumar Jha and John Bittas and some others. Sir, certain questions, India has to be very clear that on Palestine, always we were having a position. We stood with the people of Palestine. We regarded them always as our friends and sons and daughters. Now we feel whether there is a tilt of our voice in that matter. Kindly be clarified. Sir, just like that, the concerns of the students who came from Ukraine is haunting all of us. I know that the minister also tried his level best, but still they are having anxiety of their future, their families too. Kindly adjust them. Sir, the third point is that the SAU, South Asian University, run by the SAARC countries. India is hosting it in Delhi. Sir, the SAU students and the teachers are facing a problem. That has to be settled. I am very sure that the diplomatic skill of our minister can help it. I am very sure that he has intervened. I wrote to him, he replied to me also. But I am very clearly telling you, the matters are yet to be answered clearly. So please, sir, solve the issue. My next point is that regarding the, I went through the agenda of G20, and now we are the chairman. The chairmanship is rotation, sir. Last year it was Indonesia. Next year somebody else will come. It will come. So it is very good that India is now the chairman. Of course, by rotation. During this chairmanship, we believe that our great country will make its own impact on the G20 countries and all over the world. In that regard, I may ask the government. In the agenda of the G20, I read women empowerment is an important issue. Women empowerment. Will the government be positive enough to enact the women reservation bill during this period? My question. Next question is that regarding the environment. He also mentioned it. The agenda of the G20, environment and climate change is very properly focused. And now we see that in Nicobar Islands, my friends knows it, Prabhandar Yadav knows it. Big disastrous steps are being taken there. Lakhs and lakhs of trees are being cut off. And the balance of the island and the whole situation area is the
clarification.
So I request the, no. So I
focus the point.
I am focusing on you, sir. I am focusing on you, and I am focusing on you for protection also. Sir, some friends there, out of their voice or enthusiasm, they want to raise voice and make people silent. I can tell you, that's not the way of the house. I want to conclude that. Let me conclude. Let me finish the question. No, sir. Let me finish it. Let me finish it. I respect the chairman. Okay. One sentence more. Sir, one sentence more.
Point of order.
One sentence more.
1 second.
How can they bulldoze the chairman? Sir, Rule 240.
Rule?
240.
240. Yes.
Sir, irrelevance. The chairman, after having called the attention of the council to conduct of a member who persists in irrelevance. सर ये completely जो foreign policy का issue है, हमने regulation से कोई चीज पास करी है, पार्लियामेंट में मैं क्वेश्चन का जवाब दूंगा, जो इनका irrelevant विषय सर पहले वो कार्यवाही से हटाया जाए सर, क्योंकि irrelevant चीज आप डिबेट में नहीं बोल सकते सर, rule is very much clear.
Honorable members, it is, I think, third time on the first day I am required to appeal to you. I seek your cooperation. I have indicated with clarity the kind of anguish, disillusionment which the proceedings are imparting in public at large. More than any other theatre of legislature, this theatre has to take the lead. This theatre has to set standards that are to be emulated by any other center in the country. I would therefore urge you to confine to dignity, decorum, and be in a focused manner. I have carefully gone through every word is spoken by the Honorable Minister, and you will find spinal strength of the foreign policy which he has articulated in a focused manner. I personally have had the occasion on my 2 visits abroad, the kind of reflections that have affirmatively evoked. I would appreciate that while you raise your concerns, he is the right person to respond to your issues by way of imparting clarification. We must, one second, we must also be cognizant that we are dealing with a sensitive issue of national importance that has impact in the country and outside. Your concerns reflected are critical and important. They would be responded. But if there is any diversion, dilution, or some kind of a distraction, that will not be in consonance with the upper house or the House of Elders. I would now call upon Okay.
Last sentence. No.
Okay, 1 second. Last sentence. Go ahead. Please conclude.
If there is no mention in the G20 agenda on the women empowerment and climate change, I withdraw my position. If there is, I ask the government, what you do in Nicobar Islands are anti-environment, disasters to environment. Kindly stop it.
Okay. Lieutenant General Dr. D.P. Watts.
Sir, through you, I want to clarify from the MEA. Indian diaspora is the biggest in the world, but still it needs to expand. And lacks of students, especially with technical know-how, they want to go on work visa, on study visa. What MEA is doing to encourage such technocrats who want to achieve the know-how, expertise, and be beneficial to us in earning foreign exchange.
Sri Syed Nazir Hussain.
Sir, thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Sir, as you know and most of the members of the House knows, that in the last couple of sessions, we have been raising this issue of Indo-China border dispute. And we have been raising this issue through the rule of the House, and on several occasions, it was not allowed to be discussed in the House. I would have liked the External Affairs Minister to have dwelled upon this issue in his statement. Okay. It's an important issue, and I wish he not only clarifies today, and I wish he gives a separate statement on the state of affairs on our border. One. Second, sir, I had already written a letter to the External Affairs Minister on South Asian University. He had replied back to me, which was not very satisfactory. I think, though the South Asian countries are involved in that university, since it is situated in India, especially in the national capital, when the students are agitating and the teachers are also involved, and a couple of them happens to be my friends also, my classmates also. So I think that should have been taken up seriously, and it should have been resolved instead of punishing the students. The third issue is, sir, as many of our friends stated, on the issue of Palestine, we have a well-stated foreign policy. Our stand is very clear from last 40, 50 years. I think we should be moving in that direction. There should be more clarity from the days of our freedom struggle. So I think there should be more clarity, and there should be some clarification on that issue also. Thank you so much, sir.
Sri A.A. Rahim.
Sir, the MT Heroic Aiden is an oil tanker which is currently detained in Nigeria along with its crew. The crew consists of 26 sailors, of whom 16 are Indians. Sir, the sailors has been detained since on 8th August. Sir, this is a very aggressive matter. No. I am. See. No. See. So,
Honorable members,
so this is a concern.
honorable members,
Sir, this is a concern.
honorable members,
not question.
would you please take your seat? Take your seat. Once, settle down, then I'm here to take care of the situation. If you start dealing amongst yourselves directly, I don't have to tell you the importance and relevance of the chair. What can be more unwholesome? There's a simple method of putting across one second. There is a method where you can put your point very firmly, persuasively, moderately, in any manner you like. It has to be through the chair. And we will be saving precious public time and getting good response by way of input from the Honorable Minister if there is formulation in precise terms. You raise your point.
Thank you, sir.
Please.
Thank you,
He is
thank-
on legs.
Thank you very much, sir.
You see, it does not look nice for me on the first day that I suffer these kind of interruptions. I am here to accommodate everyone. I am going to an extreme degree. But that accommodation has to be on rational premise and on some rationale. So don't have interest exchanges. I am the one you have to address. I am the one who has to call upon. Please conclude.
Sir, once again, I would like to salute you, sir.
Please.
Sir, since 4 months, 16 Indians are illegally detained. Illegally detained. This is my concern. This is my question. Sir, these 16 parents and families are absolutely they are under panic. So, what are you taking the steps regarding this issue? This is my question. I already wrote a detailed letter to Honorable Minister, and I hope that the government will take this issue with a serious manner. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Vishwadram. Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. Sir, here in this document, Minister has very detailed manner. He made the Pravasi Bharat Divas and the programs. So here, I request the Minister for the clarification regarding the government. The government is aware of the number of the Indians in different countries and the number of Indians that their jobs and also how many are lost their jobs in this recent crisis. This thing is, if Minister is ready to explain here, that is very helpful for us.
Honorable members, there are no further names. So you should be happy to note that on this issue of critical importance, where the Honorable Minister has imparted his statement, I have given you full operational play. The Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister.
So I'd very quickly like to respond to the request for clarifications from multiple members, even if they couched it sometimes in a non-clarificatory way. Starting with Shri Amarpat Nayak ji, sir. The question of cross-border digital flows is not a direct foreign policy issue. It is under the domain of my colleague, Meity Minister. It is a matter on which government's views have been put in the public domain for comments. So I think it is obviously something that will evolve as public comments come in and the matter will be pursued. Regarding his second clarification, inequity, will we speak up for Africa? Will we take up Africa's cause and interest in the G20? Absolutely, the answer is an unambiguous yes. Regarding Sir Vaikoji's two questions, one about our abstention in the UN Human Rights Commission. This has been a long-standing position by India, keeping in mind what not just this government but its predecessor governments have also thought is the most constructive way of addressing and advancing the interests of the Tamil community in Sri Lanka. That continues to be our approach. Regarding the support we have given to Sri Lanka, please, I would request the honorable member to appreciate. We have given support to the entirety of Sri Lanka, which also includes the Tamil community, the Sinhalese community, the other communities. So we have not taken a communal approach to giving support. To have a neighbor in this kind of serious economic situation, we would be shirking our responsibilities if we did not step forward at that moment, and that is exactly what we have done. If I could move on, sir, to Dr. Manoj Kumar Jha's observations. One, he asked, the view of foreign policy is to 2014 centric. I don't think that is accurate. I think if you look at everything that I have said, it is not that, in some way I'm suggesting that what has been a continuing strain in our foreign policy, and I'll come to the Palestine issue particularly in that context. But since you are asking me, I would say yes, 2014 was a watershed moment. Yes, things have changed better after 2014. Yes, our foreign policy has become more dynamic, more effective, more prominent after 2014. So I think I'm so glad you picked up the 2014 issue, and I hope you will be supportive of it. On the Gaza issue and the Palestine issue, because some other members also raised it. We are very clear on Palestine. We support, sir, a two-state solution. We want a two-state solution with the two states living peacefully side by side. Some of the members suggested somewhere that our support or empathy for the Palestinians had changed. In fact, our financial support for the Palestinian Refugee Welfare Agency has gone up in the tenure of this government. I hope that honorable members would appreciate that. The issue was also raised about the neutrality, not my word, sir, this was the honorable member's clarification request, on the Ukraine situation. And Professor Jha suggested that he could do my job better. I mean, that is certainly he is free to hold that opinion. What I do want to say is we have been clear, publicly clear at the Prime Minister's level that this is not an era of war. We have consistently urged dialogue and diplomacy. When it comes to the impact of the war on Indian people or in the rest of the world, we have also done the right things about that. We have taken measures to soften the impact, whether it is of fuel or whether it is of food inflation, whether it is of fertilizer costs. So if it is your contention that our position has been in putting the interests of the Indian public first, I plead guilty to it. Yes, I put the interests of the Indian public first. It is my duty to ensure that fuel, fertilizer, food, the Indian public does not pay the cost of some other country's actions or some other region's actions. I think that is the way, in my view at least, foreign policy should be conducted. If I could turn then, sir, to Mr. John Brittas's comments. One, the Palestine issue I have already addressed. The pressure from the West, I think I have addressed publicly. I have said again what I have just mentioned. I would like to clarify. We do not ask our companies to buy Russian oil. We ask our companies to buy oil. What is the best option that they can get? Now, it depends on what the market throws up. If tomorrow the market gives us more competitive options, again, please do understand, it's not just we buy oil from one country. We buy oil from multiple sources. But it is sensible policy to go where we get the best deal in the interest of the Indian people. And that is exactly what we are trying to do. Regarding the oil cap, the impact of this is not very clear to us. Our concern is really what would it do to the stability and the affordability of the energy markets. That is a concern. On his clarification regarding diversity in the G20, absolutely yes. I mean, the fact that we are going to mark celebrate the G20 across the states of India in multiple cities in a manner in which we have never done any international event before. I think that is a greater statement of proof of diversity, of our commitment to diversity that I can make. And it is spread without, without discrimination across every state of every region of this country. And finally, because again, multiple members asked about this, where on the Ukraine students, some of the students have gone back, some have looked for other solutions. In some cases, the Ukrainian authorities have offered some solutions. So it is a very mixed picture. Unfortunately, there is no clean and simple answer here, but the government is doing what it can in this situation. That was also a concern which Trichy Shivaji raised about the Ukrainian students. If I could turn then, sir, to the clarification sought by Thambi Doreji about the India-Sri Lanka agreement of 1987. It is still an agreement. It is an agreement which has been the basis for changes in Sri Lanka, including provincial councils which have come about as a result. In our view, it is still an agreement that continues to remain the foundation of how both our relationship with Sri Lanka is conducted and how Sri Lanka itself looks at its own future. So I would like to assure him that we continue to. It is very much. On our radar. We are very, very supportive of it. Then, sir, if I could turn to the clarification sought by Sri Sujit Kumarji. This is a very sensitive case. I'm referring to the detention of some of our ex-servicemen in Qatar. I can only say, because their interests are foremost in our minds, I can only assure him we have been seized of the matter. Our ambassador, senior officials have been in continuous touch with the Qatari government on this. Our effort is obviously to ensure that they are not treated unfairly and that if the sooner we can bring them back home. So I assure you that they are very much, very strongly in our priorities in respect of Qatar, and it is something that we will be pursuing. Regarding Shri Pramod Tiwariji's clarification request on China, and I think Nazir Hussain ji also brought up the same issue. Diplomatically, we have been very clear. We have been very clear with the Chinese that we will not tolerate, we will not countenance attempts to unilaterally change the line of actual control, and that so long as they continue to seek to do that, and if they have built up forces which in our minds constitute a serious concern in the border areas, then our relationship is not normal. And the abnormality of that has been in evidence in the last few years. Meanwhile, the military commanders continue to engage each other, and I think given the sensitivity of that matter, it is something which is left to the military commanders to deal with, and I think the House should be understanding of the national sensitivity of such a delicate matter. Regarding Binay Vishwamji's issue, I think the Palestinian issue I have addressed, the Ukrainian issue I have addressed, but I think two members, sir, had concerns about the South Asia University. He did and Nazir Hussain ji did. I would like to assure the members, we would like obviously to not see this kind of situation. But the South Asian University is not under the direct jurisdiction of the Government of India or the Ministry of External Affairs. It is something which is run by a collection of countries, and part of the problem is that some of the countries have not made the payments which they were required to do for the university. So the university is going through a period of very severe financial stress. Now, beyond that, there are issues of management and academic freedom for the university, because it is an international university. It is not the policy of the Government of India to interfere in the workings of an international university. But we will, whatever influence and counsel we can give them to sort out any problems in an amicable and non-stressful way, certainly we would do that. On the issue of agenda of G20, yes, women-led development would certainly be high among our priorities. as will be a set of sustainability issues, including, as my own statement said, lifestyle for environment. I think it's not, again, my direct subject. My colleague Bhupender Yadav ji will bear out that at COP27, what we are doing in environment is, I think, today increasingly recognized. I had the privilege, along with him, to be with the Prime Minister at COP26 as well. So I think we should look really at today at how the world sees our contributions and progress when it comes to climate action and climate justice. So I would not take the very pessimistic view which the Honourable Member has done. Regarding General Wats's point about study visas, we are very concerned that a number of countries, for reasons which have to do with finance and their processes, have slowed down issue of visas. We have taken up with many of these countries. I myself have done at the ministerial level with the US, with the UK. Yesterday I did it with Germany. In many cases our intervention has led to an improvement. I still think there is some distance to go, but it is certainly, as I said, we run a people-centric foreign policy in the Modi government, and certainly today facilitating the faster issue of visas would be very, very high among our priorities. Finally, on the heroic Idum, the ship issue, sir, the one in Nigeria, even though it is not a policy issue, as my colleague recognized, I would like the member to know we have been in touch with the crew since August. It was detained, the people were initially detained in Equatorial Guinea. They were then brought to Nigeria. They are facing charges in court. There are a number of charges, including oil smuggling against them. We have given them consular support. Our High Commissioner has gone to see them. It is again our endeavor to ensure that they are not unjustly treated, that they have full access to all recourse of law, and that they have the ability to communicate with their family. The last question, the loss of jobs. How many Indians are there abroad? Our estimate is that there are 3.2 crore persons of Indian origin and Indian nationals living abroad. But regarding their job loss figures during the COVID, that is not something, because the data is not maintained by Government of India, so I cannot honestly answer the question. I hope, sir, I have provided full clarification to all the questions.
The Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill 2022, Shri Bhupender Yadav to move a motion for consideration of the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill 2022. Time allotted is 4 hours.
Respected Chairman, sir, I move that the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill 2022, as passed by the Lok Sabha to further amend the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, be taken into consideration.
Honorable members, Honorable Minister, if you like to say about the bill, you may speak.
मैं कुछ बोलना चाहूँगा। माननीय सभापति महोदय, भारतीय वन्यजीव संरक्षण विधेयक जो 1972 में पारित किया गया था, उसमें मैं संशोधन के लिए विधेयक सदन के समक्ष प्रस्तावित करता हूं। दुनिया में जो एक विभिन्न देशों के बीच में संधि है, कन्वेंशन ऑफ इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड ऑन एंडेंजर्ड स्पीशीज, जिस प्रकार से वन्य जीव और वन्य संपदा दुनिया में विलुप्त होती जा रही है और कुछ संपदाएं इस कगार पे आ गई हैं कि उनका संरक्षण करना आवश्यक है, इसको लेकर के दुनिया के सभी देशों के अंतर्गत एक संधि 1976 में हुई थी। हम सब जानते हैं कि वन्य जीवों का जो अवैध व्यापार होता है उसको रोकने के लिए और उसके साथ ही साथ उसमें रेगुलेशन लाने के लिए हर देश के अंतर्गत नियमों को बनाने का और कानून को पारित करने का प्रावधान किया गया था। भारत सरकार भी इस अंतर्राष्ट्रीय संधि के सदस्य है। हालांकि हमारे देश में जो इस प्रकार का अवैध व्यापार होता है उसको कस्टम एक्ट के तहत, फॉरेन ट्रेड डेवलपमेंट और रेगुलेशन एक्ट के तहत और एग्जिम पॉलिसी एंड वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट के तहत नियंत्रित किया जाता है। परंतु इस संधि के अंतर्गत दुनिया के सभी देशों के लिए ये कहा गया था कि एक अलग से वन्य जीवों का एक स्ट्रक्चर ढांचा बनाया जाना चाहिए। मैं कहना भी चाहूँगा कि तत्कालीन यूपीए सरकार ने ये एश्योरेंस भी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर दिया था, लेकिन उन्होंने पूरा नहीं किया। और चूंकि इस अंतर्राष्ट्रीय संधि को 2005 में हमने एश्योरेंस दिया था, पूरा करना आवश्यक है और अतएव इस बिल को लोकसभा में रखा गया है, जिसको सर्वसम्मति से पारित किया गया। और मैं ये चाहता हूँ कि ये बिल इस राज्यसभा में भी सर्वसम्मति से पारित किया जाए। इस बिल की प्रस्तावना को रखते समय माननीय सभापति महोदय, मैं ये भी कहना चाहूँगा कि अभी हाल ही में 14 से 25 नवंबर 2022 में पनामा में दुनिया में साइटिस की जो कॉप है वो 19 कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑफ पार्टीज हुई थी। हमारे देश में विशेष रूप से फॉरेस्ट में जो हमारे ऑफिसर्स और साइंटिस्ट हैं, उनके प्रयासों के कारण भारत ने जो प्रस्ताव किया और हमारे जो 2 स्पीशीज है टर्टाइल, नेमली रेड क्राउन रॉफ टर्टाइल और सॉफ्ट शेल टर्टाइल, उसको एंडेमिक में अपेंडिक्स 2 से अपेंडिक्स 1 में किया गया। माननीय सभापति महोदय, आप जानते हैं कि विशेष रूप से राजस्थान और हरियाणा के क्षेत्रों में शीशम का वृक्ष बहुतायत से पाया जाता है और स्थानीय कारीगर जो हैं उसके द्वारा विभिन्न चीज़ों का निर्माण करते हैं और हमारे राजस्थान के भी बहुत अच्छे कारीगर इसका निर्यात करते हैं। हम ये चाहते थे कि ये शीशम निर्यात से पूरी तरीके से इसको, जिसको डेल्बर्जियस सिस्को इसका एक बॉटनिक नेम है, हमने इस प्रस्ताव को भी किया। हालांकि प्रस्ताव पास नहीं हुआ, फिर भी हमको इस बार साइटिस से क्लैरिफिकेशन मिला कि 10 केजी के आइटम तक के निर्यात को हम लोग प्रोवाइड कर सकेंगे और एक तरीके से हमको इस साइटिस में और हमारे जो छोटे कारीगर हैं उनको एक बड़ी अच्छी राहत भी मिली है। इस बार ये भी अच्छा रहा कि भारत को स्टैंडिंग कमेटी में एशिया रीजन की तरफ से भारत ने अपना स्थान पाया। लेकिन एक और विषय जो टाइगर कंजर्वेशन में आजकल दुनिया के कुछ देशों में टाइगर की फार्मिंग भी हो रही है और उसके कारण उसका इलीगल ट्रेड बढ़ रहा है, भारत के उस प्रस्ताव को भी वहाँ पर रखा गया। माननीय सभापति महोदय, मैं आपके सामने ये भी कहना चाहता हूँ कि हमारी सरकार पूरी तरीके से वन्य क्षेत्र के संरक्षण के लिए, वन्य जीवों के संरक्षण के लिए पूरी तरीके से प्रतिबद्ध है। हमने पिछले दिनों में अभी हमारे देश में विशेष रूप से टाइगर कंजर्वेशन के लिए काम किया और मुझे बताते हुए खुशी है कि दुनिया का जो 70% जो वर्ल्ड वाइल्ड टाइगर है वो हमारे देश के अंतर्गत है। अभी हमारे एस्टिमेशन का कार्य चल ही रहा है। उसके साथ ही साथ भारत ने 1950 में जो हमारे यहाँ से चीते विलुप्त हुए थे उनको वापस लाकर माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में, जिसको इकोलॉजिकल रॉन्ग जो हमारे देश में हुआ था, इकोलॉजिकल हार्मनी को स्थापित करने के लिए कार्य किया है। हमारे देश के जो टाइगर रिजर्व्स हैं उनको TX2 का अवार्ड भी इंटरनेशनली मिला है। हमारे 16 टाइगर रिजर्व्स को इंटरनेशनल एक्रेडिटेशन भी मिला है। और कई बार मैं ये कहता हूँ कि जब टाइगर कंजर्वेशन की बात हम ये कहते हैं तो कई बार ये विषय उठाया जाता है कि हम इतना जोर क्यों दे रहे हैं, लेकिन मैं आपको बताना चाहूँगा कि हमारी नेशनल टाइगर कंजर्वेशन अथॉरिटी ने एक अभी मैप रिलीज़ किया है कि हिंदुस्तान की जो मुख्य रूप से दक्षिण क्षेत्र में निकलने वाली नदियाँ है, जो हमारे टाइगर रिजर्व के जो कंजर्वेशन एरिया है, वहीं से उनका उद्गम का स्रोत है और इसलिए उन जंगलों को बचाना, वहाँ की इकोलॉजी को बचाना, वहाँ की इकोलॉजिकल सिस्टम को बचाना, ये बहुत आवश्यक है। इसके साथ ही साथ मैं आपको ये बताना चाहूँगा कि हमारे विशेष रूप से बंगाल के क्षेत्र में जो सुंदरबन टाइगर रिजर्व एरिया है, उसको भारत और बांग्लादेश के सहयोग के साथ बायलैटरल पार्टनरशिप हमने करी है, उसको हम आगे बढ़ाने का काम कर रहे हैं। अब चीता इंट्रोडक्शन के साथ ही साथ हमारे देश में प्रोजेक्ट लायन के ऊपर काम किया जा रहा है जिसको माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने 15 अगस्त 2020 को लाल किले से घोषित भी किया गया था, और पूरी दुनिया का जो 100% एशियाटिक लॉयन है वो भारत के अंतर्गत है। हमारे देश में जो रिवर क्षेत्र में एक बहुत बड़ा जो हमारा एक संरक्षण का क्षेत्र है, वहाँ पे प्रोजेक्ट डॉल्फिन है। प्रोजेक्ट डॉल्फिन को कंजर्वेशन को लेकर भी काम कर रहे हैं। हमारे कई सदस्यों के पत्र भी मेरे को लगातार मैन एनिमल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के ऊपर, ह्यूमन एनिमल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के ऊपर लगातार आते हैं। हमारी सरकार के द्वारा फरवरी 2021 में इसको लेकर के एक सर्कुलर जारी किया गया था, और उसके साथ ही साथ जो बाकी के विषय हैं उनको भी मैं विस्तार से आपके सामने, जब हमारे सदस्य इस विषय को रखेंगे, मैं आपके सामने विस्तार के साथ रखूंगा। लेकिन इस जो संशोधन है, इस संशोधन को लाने के हमारे दो उद्देश्य हैं। पहला उद्देश्य जो हमारा इंटरनेशनल ट्रीटी है, उस इंटरनेशनल ट्रीटी का भारत जो सदस्य बना, और अभी हाल ही में जो हमारे भारत का प्रतिनिधिमंडल जाके आया है, उसकी आवश्यकता और भारत के नेतृत्व की क्षमता को देखते हुए उसको हमारे लीगल प्रोविज़न में लाना आवश्यक था। उसके साथ ही साथ जो हमारे वन्य क्षेत्र में लंबे समय से रहने वाले जो ट्रेडिशनल कम्युनिटीज़ के जो लोग हैं, जो ट्राइबल लोग हैं, जब हम उनका विस्थापन करते हैं तो उनके जो उनके मवेशियों के लिए और बाकी लोगों के लिए जो उनके परंपरागत अधिकार है, उसमें कुछ हद तक कुछ विषयों पर संरक्षण जब तक उनका पूरी तरीके से पुनर्स्थापन ना हो, देना आवश्यक था। इस प्रकार की एक संवेदनशील सरकार के द्वारा कि हम वन के विकास के साथ ही साथ वहाँ पे रहने वाले जो स्थानीय समुदाय हैं उनके संरक्षण और उनके विषयों को भी आगे लेकर के चलें, क्योंकि हमारे देश में प्रकृति के साथ रहने की एक परंपरागत सोच है। प्रकृति के साथ जीवन जीने का हमारे यहाँ एक जीवन पद्धति है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने दुनिया का जो क्लाइमेट चेंज का जो संकट आया है, उसके लिए भी पूरी दुनिया को एक मिशन लाइफ का विज़न दिया है। वह विज़न भी प्रकृति के साथ, और हम ज़्यादातर जिसको माइंडफुल कंजम्पशन कह सकते हैं, माइंडलेस यूटिलाइजेशन की तरह वो है। और इसलिए ये जो वाइल्ड लाइफ एक्ट है, इसमें ये जो संशोधन है, ये आज के समय की अंतर्राष्ट्रीय संधि के अंतर्गत भी आवश्यकता है, और कुछ हम अपने स्थानीय प्रशासन को सुदृढ़ करने के लिए, अपने एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को सुदृढ़ करने के लिए, स्थानीय समुदाय को रियायत देने के लिए हम इन संशोधनों को लेकर के आए हैं। मैं सदन से आग्रह करूंगा कि वो सर्वसम्मति से इसको पारित करें। इतना ही कह के मैं इस बिल की प्रस्तावना आपके सामने रखूं।
मोशन मूव्ड श्री विवेक तनखा।
First of all, this is my first debate before the Honorable Chairman, and I hope the Chairman is still there for the debate. Yeah, that's okay.
I thought the safest way to take a respite is when a distinguished member of the same fraternity, a senior advocate, who normally on the first day will have no option but to be indulgent.
Sir, before I start, let me give a little brief background of this law. I'm sure most of the members would know this. Sir, this wildlife protection concept was the first time enacted by way of a law in 2012 when we brought Wild Birds and Animal Protection Act 2012. And that continued for many, many years. This power to enact on wildlife was basically reserved for the states. ये state का power था, state legislature का, but with the 42nd constitutional amendment in 1977, this power was transferred to the concurrent list from the state list. Pehले it used to be entry 20 of the state list. Now it is entry 17, 17A, 17B of the concurrent list. So आज के दिन, on this subject, both the state as well as the center can legislate, but if there is an overlapping field, then the state legislation can only come into effect with the assent of the President. That's the law. 1972, before the amendment of this Act, the Wildlife Protection Act was enacted. Even though at that time, the power was with the state, because about 11 states passed resolutions at that time that we want a central enactment. This is an all-India subject, and this subject is something which has to be addressed nationally. So that is why in 1972, the Parliament, under the constitutional power, made a law in terms of a state subject, which was called the Wildlife Protection Act, 72. इस Protection Act में बहुत सारे amendments हुए बीच में. Now this is one stage at which broad-based amendments have come. These amendments deal with Rio Treaty also. These amendments deal with many, many conventions. But I think the basic facet of this entire amendment is, as the Honorable Minister said, to fill up the loopholes, to fill up the gaps in the various sections across various chapters. But कुछ बातें ऐसी हैं जो मेरे ओपिनियन में आपसे छूट गई, क्योंकि कितना भी आप concentrate करके law बना लीजिए, if it doesn't go to a standing committee or a select committee, there will always be areas which get left out. So I'm going to basically be speaking on areas जो छूट गए हैं, which are left out. Now, let me start with section 43. Section 43 is the section जिसमें सबसे ज़्यादा विवाद है इस वक्त. This is the section, sir, in which you permit the transfer and transportation of elephants. ये हमारे गणेश जी हैं, और गणेश जी का ट्रांसफर और ट्रांसपोर्टेशन आपको अगर करना है तो उसके लिए आपको बहुत केयरफुल होना पड़ेगा. प्रॉब्लम अरोज बिकॉज जो अभी जो एक्ट इन्होंने प्रोवाइजो लाए हैं, जो प्रोवाइजो सेक्शन 43 पे प्रपोज्ड है, इट सेज this can be done. ये elephant transportation and transfer can be done for religious, वो तो ठीक है, or for any other purpose. और any other purpose section 63 में ये कहते हैं कि हम rules के through deal करेंगे. Now that has left a big gap. आप any other purpose करके आपने इसको इतना vague कर दिया है, depending on who is in power, who thinks how. ये चीजें may even touch human sensibility. Elephant has been an issue with the. आपको मालूम है पहले elephant used to be, हाथी एक domestic animal जैसे treat किया जाता रहा under the act. It's only the last 30-40 years that the elephant became an endangered species or a protected species. Not an endangered, but a protected species. आज problem ये है कि अगर हम elephant को, if we allow elephant to be used for any other purpose, तो उसमें इतने सारे बड़े issues हो जाएंगे, because आपको अंदाज नहीं है कि 2675 captive elephants इंडिया में हैं, 2675, और उनमें 1251, that is 1251 के पास ही ownership certificate है under section 42. These are PETA figures which I have taken, sir. The problem is आपके पास एक huge elephant का congregation है जिसकी ownership certificates भी अभी तक decided नहीं है. The problem which is going to arise is अगर आपने इसको, इस proviso को इतना weak छोड़ा और इतना indeterminate छोड़ा, तो this is going to cause problem in the times ahead. आज तो आप law pass कर देंगे, but आगे चल के ये एक issue इस देश में बनेगा. इसी तरह आपको मैं बताना चाहता हूं कि जो proviso है, actually it's a proviso to 43(1). आप अगर section देखेंगे, ये proviso actually fits into 43(1) and not 43(2). वो कोई बहुत बड़ी चीज नहीं है, but possibly it should have been a proviso to 43(1) and not 43(2). The next point that I would like to make is about section 49M. Now, ये बड़ा interesting है sir. 49M में you have to give a self declaration. मतलब आपको खुद डिक्लेयर करना पड़ता है कि अगर शेड्यूल 4 के एनिमल्स अगर आपके पोजेशन में है तो यू हैव टू मेक अ डिक्लेरेशन टू द कॉम्पिटेंट अथॉरिटी. देखिए मेरे घर में कोई डियर है या टाइगर कब है या एनी एंडेंजर, वो जितनी स्पीशीज वहाँ स्पेसिफाइड है, बहुत बड़ी लिस्ट है वो, स्पेशली बर्ड्स की भी बहुत बड़ी लिस्ट है. आपको एक डिक्लेरेशन देना पड़ता है और हाउ दैट डिक्लेरेशन इज टू बी मेड, वो 49M के बाद बहुत सारे सबसेक्शंस हैं. प्रॉब्लम इसमें दूसरी भी है कि आपने वो तो आदमी व्यक्ति के लिए तो बोल दिया कि ही शुड गिव अ डिक्लेरेशन. द प्रॉब्लम इज दैट आपने थर्ड पार्टी को कंप्लेंट करने का हक नहीं दिया इन अ सेंस. तो अगर हमने सपोज डिक्लेरेशन नहीं दिया तो एक्ट में कॉन्ट्रवेंशन होगा. कॉन्ट्रवेंशन में पनिशमेंट होती है अंडर सेक्शन 51. दैट वो किक स्टार्ट तभी होगा जब कोई फॉरेस्ट अथॉरिटी उसको डिस्कवर करेगा. सर, जिस बिल्डिंग में मेरा ऑफिस है सिल्वर आर्च, आज से 10 साल पहले वहां ऑस्ट्रिच मिली थी. सालों से वो ऑस्ट्रिच वहां रहती थी. सडनली एक दिन डिस्कवर किया गया कि ऑस्ट्रिच वहां किसी ने पाल के रखी है. दैट इज एन एनिमल और स्पीशीज दैट हैज टू बी डिक्लेयर्ड. तो समवेयर एक ये प्रोविजन भी अगर आप करें, इट माइट हेल्प इन द डिक्लेरेशन प्रोसेस कि थर्ड पार्टी जिसको नॉलेज है, नेबरहुड में जरूर नॉलेज होता है कि आपके नेबर के पास कौन से एनिमल्स हैं, और नेबर जरूर जाके बता सकता है कॉम्पिटेंट अथॉरिटी को दैट सर इनके पास ये है और इसके लिए ही मस्ट बी आस्क्ड टू डिक्लेयर. तो कुछ ये प्रोविजंस को अगर आपको स्ट्रिक्टली एनफोर्स करना है तो आपको पॉसिबली पब्लिक पार्टिसिपेशन को भी इसमें इनकरेज करना पड़ेगा. इसी तरह एक इशू है अबाउट एंट्री ऑफ issue of every national park and sanctuary. Now this is something जो आपको completely आपने मिस कर दिया. Sir, there is what you call a 1 kilometer eco-sensitive zone rule. ये 1 kilometer eco-sensitive जो zone rule है, ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने की जजमेंट से आया. अब क्या हो गया, द सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने अभी 30 नवंबर को एक ऑर्डर किया इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ तुंगरेश्वर वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी मुंबई के पास है, दैट दिस 1 किलोमीटर इको सेंसिटिव रूल विल नॉट अप्लाई एज इट इज, मतलब इट इज फ्लेक्सिबल. इसके पहले ऑन 28 सितंबर ऑल्सो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पास जब ये मैटर गया था, तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ संजय गांधी नेशनल पार्क एंड थाने क्रीक फ्लेमिंग सेंचुरी, इट हैड रिलैक्स दिस रूल. अब आपने एज ए पार्लियामेंट यू हैव दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी, यू हैव एन अपॉर्चुनिटी टू अमेंड. इस इशू को आपने डील नहीं किया. अब प्रॉब्लम यह है कि ये दिस लॉ गो बाय जुडिशियल वर्डिक्ट, केस बाय केस. नेशनल पार्क्स के पास जिनको इश्यूज आएंगे वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाएंगे. गोदा वर्मन की एक परमानेंट बेंच चलती है, हमारे ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर उससे परिचित भी हैं. वहां आप एप्लीकेशन लगाएंगे और वो फिर रिलैक्स करेंगे. 1 किलोमीटर के अंदर से इको सेंसिटिव जोन में रिलैक्स करा जा सकता है कि नहीं करा जा सकता, किन चीजों के लिए किया जा सकता, क्या यहाँ होटल आ सकते हैं, होटल आएंगे तो किस प्रकार के होटल आएंगे, क्या यहाँ पर वेलनेस सेंटर्स आएंगे, जो भी करना है इको सेंसिटिव जोन में आप जो भी करेंगे उसको आपको इको सेंसिटिव वे में ही करना पड़ेगा. तो उसके भी रूल्स बनने, उसके बारे में भी सोच होनी चाहिए थी. तो एक बहुत बड़ा एरिया जो कि एक अपॉर्चुनिटी थी टू एड्रेस, ये इस वक्त इनसे मेरे ओपिनियन में छूट गया है, बिकॉज ये एरिया इज नाउ बीइंग डेल्ट बाय सुप्रीम कोर्ट रादर देन द पार्लियामेंट और द एग्जीक्यूटिव. एंड व्हाई आई एम सेइंग दिस इज एन अपॉर्चुनिटी लॉस्ट, बिकॉज इको सेंसिटिव एरिया जो है इसका इट इज पार्ट ऑफ आवर हेरिटेज. सर, हमारी जो नेशनल हेरिटेज है उसका वो पार्ट है. हम पूरा जो हेरिटेज है 3 प्रिंसिपल्स पे वर्क करते हैं. प्रिकॉशनरी प्रिंसिपल होता है कि हम चीजों को खराब ना होने दें, हम चीजों को बिगड़ने ना दें. दूसरा होता है पोल्यूटर पेज, जो व्यक्ति इकोलॉजी को खराब करता है उसको आप दंडित करते हो. You take fine from him, you take penalties from him, and make it so severe that he will not do it again. And third is intergenerational equity. मतलब हम ये जो सब कर रहे हैं, rightly so, as the Honorable Minister said, we are doing this all for the future. ये हम अपने आगे वाली generations के लिए कर रहे हैं. And as he rightly said, tiger farming. Tiger farming is a concept. Southeast Asia में, it's a concept which thousands of people go and enjoy. वहाँ पर tigers are tamer than dogs. I mean, आपके Indian dogs are more ferocious than a Thailand tiger. So, as I said, wildlife का concept भी change हो रहा है, ecology का concept भी change हो रहा है. Wildlife is also now a revenue earning machine. कई African countries, through wildlife, this is that main economy. Then असली जो पूरा उनका जो earning है is out of that wildlife. तो हमको उसको भी ध्यान में रखना है, हमको अपनी इकोलॉजी को भी बचाना है, हमको बहुत सारी चीज़ों पे ध्यान रख के ही इस चीज़ को आगे बढ़ाना है. तो जितना एग्रेसिव हम इस चीज़ों को, but this aggression has to be a very consultative aggression. It can't be an aggression जिसमें आप किसी चीज़ को रोक दो. I still remember, हम तो गोदावरमन केस में, I was appearing for years as counsel for Madhya Pradesh. And हम लोग की तो सबसे ज़्यादा applications वहाँ pending होती थी. मेरा शहर जबलपुर कि all around eco-sensitive parks हैं. There's Kana on one side, Bandhavgarh on one side, Pench on another side. आप जहाँ जाएं, उस सब तरफ हमारे sanctuaries हैं, tiger reserves हैं. तो ये भी एक बहुत बड़ी earning का जरिया बन सकते हैं. तो as you rightly said, sir, that it is correct that law amendments are necessary. But when we make these laws, we also should not lose opportunities which the law gives us to make an intergenerational future. क्योंकि हम जो law आज बना रहे हैं, this is not only for us, it is also for the future. Our children are going to enjoy this law. Not only the law, the environment of which creates out of this law. तो मेरा यही कहना है, while nobody will be objecting to this bill per se, but there are so many gaps in this bill, whether it be 43M, and this Supreme Court judgment which has not been taken into consideration. I would like the Minister to take these facts into consideration before finalizing the bill, so that at least when you finalize a thing, you have a comprehensive picture before you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mani Vinay Tankhaji. Dr. Kanimoji, please.
Honorable Chairman, sir, wildlife wealth is the world's natural wealth. The protection and conservation of wildlife is the need of the hour and is one of the most important duties of the government and people to protect our wildlife wealth. Sir, the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill amends the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and seeks to increase the species protected under the law and implement the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Sir, the human population has grown exponentially over the past 200 years to more than 7 billion people today, and it continues to grow rapidly. This means the natural resources are being consumed faster than ever by the billions of people on the planet. This growth and development and also endangers the habitats and existence of the various types of wildlife around the world. So humans are being the current rate of species extinction, which is at least 100 to 1,000 times higher than the nature intended. According to the WWF's Living Planet Report 2018, the world has witnessed an astonishing 60% decline in the size of populations of mammals, birds, fishes, reptiles, and amphibians in just over 40 years. In a healthy biome and biodiversity, world humans are the culprits. Their greed for development and advancement has made detrimental to the world wildlife. Therefore, any law which is aimed to protect and conserve wildlife population is absolutely necessary. So there is a conflict of interest between Forest Rights Act and the Wildlife Protection Act. Protection of wildlife is important. At the same time, protection of the forest rights of the scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers living near the protected wildlife zones. A near total ban on grazing, coupled with a system that undo the FRA has made life difficult of locals, stripping them their rights. Sir, cattle grazing has been recognized under the Tamil Nadu Forest Act 1882. The court then revised its order on March 17th. Now cattle grazing became legally permissible in forests outside tiger reserves, sanctuaries and national parks. In effect, the verdict removed 8,101.79 square kilometer or 35.42% of forests and 6.23% of the state total's area from Tamil Nadu grazing area, even from those who were illegitimate right holders. The court thus rewrote the provisions of two major laws that the Parliament has enacted in 2006, the 2006 Amendment to the Wildlife Protection Act and the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, rendered tiger reserves a statutory category and prescribed provisions for the notifications. The government has since notified 52 tiger reserves, both of which were designed to protect, preserve, conserve and manage forest, wildlife and biodiversity. According to the Wildlife Protection Act, Tamil Nadu has to prepare a tiger conservation plan to protect the agricultural, livelihood, developmental and other interests of the people living in the tiger reserves. The core area, the critical tiger habitat, is to be established without affecting the rights of the scheduled tribes or such other forest dwellers, while the buffer area should promote coexistence between wildlife and human activity with due recognition of livelihood, development, social and cultural rights of the local people. Separately, the scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers recognize grazing and traditional seasonal resource access of nomadic communities. That is, it accorded community rights to the village to be regulated by its Grama Sabha and not an individual grazing permit to be granted on payment of the prescribed fees by the forest department. This has to be followed without any hindrances to the tribal population and traditional forest dwellers. Sir, in the vast country like our India, different regions will have different wildlife population. The wildlife species living in Western Ghats are not expected to be seen in the Aravalli ranges of the north. The wildlife in the northeast India is much different from those in the Eastern Ghats. Therefore, the state governments are better equipped to act upon the wildlife protection and conservation. I urge the Union government to have a consultation with the state governments in forming the management authority and to provide adequate representation from the states in the composition of the authority. Sir, the pristine environment of the forest are deteriorating due to the unregulated tourism. Untreated sewage and plastic wastage have endangered the environment. Only if the people realize the importance of the clean environment and cooperate with the local administration, the natural resources can be protected. In Tamil Nadu, the Eastern Ghats and the Western Ghats are natural boon to protect fauna and flora typical to this weather and environment. We have tremendous coastal and marine habitat. Therefore, in protecting the wildlife, Tamil Nadu plays an important role. For DMK government in Tamil Nadu, several wildlife sanctuaries and wildlife parks, zoos, bird sanctuaries have been established in Tamil Nadu over the last 50 years. The project Save Tigers and Save Elephants have been successfully implemented in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu is one of the best served countries in the countries as far as the wildlife protection is concerned. I take this opportunity to urge the Union government to provide rupees 2,000 crores for the government of Tamil Nadu for enhancing its wildlife protection and conservation activities. With this, I conclude. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Kanimoji. Mani Brijlal ji.
Thank you, Deputy Chairman, sir. I thank you for giving me opportunity to speak on the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill 2021, which proposes to amend the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 so as to incorporate the necessary changes to appropriately implement CITE, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora in India, that is called CITES. In addition to this, certain other amendments
have also been proposed so as to make the Act more comprehensive. Deputy Chairman, sir, India is a signatory to the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, which requires the parties to take appropriate measures to enforce its provision and prohibit trade in violation thereof. CITES regulate trade in about 38,700 species of wild animals and plants. Currently, 183 countries are signatory to CITES. Non-compliance by a country to adopt appropriate legislation to implement CITES may result in a recommendation from CITES to suspend trade in CITES-listed species with such country. Such a recommendation was made in respect of India, as a minister told, in 2004, but was withdrawn in March 2005 following an assurance by India. India has been implementing CITES through the Custom Act 1962, Foreign Trade Development Regulation Act 1992, the EXIM policy, and the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. However, the CITES Secretariat has noted certain gaps in India's implementation of the CITES. India has been identified by the CITES Standing Committee as one of the parties requiring attention as a matter of priority regarding the national legislation. A recommendation to suspend trade with India for CITES-listed species would affect India's export and imports, such as species including agarwood, sesame, red sandal, wood, medicinal plant, aromatic plants, etc. अभी मंत्री जी ने कहा कि एक प्लांट हमारे यहाँ डलवर्जिया लैटिफोलिया जिसको हम रोज वुड कहते हैं कि ज़्यादा इसका प्रोडक्शन केरला वहाँ होता है, कर्नाटक में, हरियाणा में, और इसके प्रोडक्ट बड़े कॉस्टली हैं और ये साइट की लिस्ट में है। अगर हमने लेजिस्लेशन ना किया तो वो हमारा प्रोडक्ट जिससे हम फॉरेन एक्सचेंज कमा रहे हैं वो सस्पेंड हो सकता है। इसी तरह से द अदर स्पीसीज which is in the site list is called agarwood. इसको ऊद भी कहते हैं। अभी मैं होम अफेयर कमेटी को लेकर गया था असम और वहाँ मैंने इस पर बातचीत की, क्योंकि अगरवुड वहाँ ये होता है, उसमें एक इन्फेक्शन होता है, मोल्ड डेवलप होता है और उसके बाद उसका हार्टवुड टर्न्स ब्लैक और उसके बाद रेजिन होती है, उससे ऑयल निकलता है एंड दैट इज वेरी वेरी कॉस्टली and that is used in perfume and incense. तो ये हमारा जो है और इसका ग्लोबल ट्रेड है 6 to 8 बिलियन US डॉलर। तो ये प्रोडक्ट हमारा अगर हमने नहीं किया तो ये हम उस श्रेणी में आएंगे और हमारा एक्सपोर्ट जो है इससे प्रभावित होगा। महोदय, मैं असम के मुख्यमंत्री को इस हाउस के माध्यम से बधाई भी देना चाहता हूँ। उन्होंने अभी 26 जून he has launched एग्रो फॉरेस्ट्री डेवलपमेंट बोर्ड। इसका पर्पज यह है कि फार्मर्स वहाँ ऐसे स्पीसीज ग्रो करें जिसका यूज इंडस्ट्री में हो। उसमें अगरवुड भी है, उसमें शीशम भी है, उसमें बम्बूज हैं, कि ऐसे प्रोडक्ट हों और इस प्रोडक्ट को किसानों को उसको हार्वेस्ट करने के लिए, उसको ट्रांसपोर्ट करने के लिए किसी परमिशन की ज़रूरत नहीं है और इससे फ्यूचर में असम के किसानों को, नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लोगों को इसमें काफ़ी फायदा मिलेगा। इसलिए ये लेजिस्लेशन ज़रूरी है कि जिससे साइट जो पाया सम गैप्स हैं उस गैप्स को हम पूरा कर सकें। महोदय, इसी तरह से हमारे यहाँ एक प्रोडक्ट है जिससे हम काफ़ी पैसा कमाते हैं और वो है रक्त चंदन। ये आंध्रा में होता है, पार्ट ऑफ तमिलनाडु में होता है, कर्नाटक में होता है। मेनली इसका यूज है म्यूजिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट, मेडिसिनल पर्पजेस। जब मैं उत्तर प्रदेश में सेवा में था तो अपने होम डिस्ट्रिक्ट सिद्धार्थ नगर जो नेपाल बॉर्डर पर है, करीब 2-3 ट्रक हमने उसको पकड़ा था। उसका वहाँ कोई यूज नहीं है, केवल पर्पस था वहाँ से नेपाल और नेपाल के थ्रू चाइना। तो ये रेड सैंडर जो है, जिसको हम रक्त चंदन कहते हैं, इसका भी हम जो है एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं। और अनलेस ये लेजिस्लेशन पास नहीं होगा तो इस पे एक्सपोर्ट पर भी हमारी प्रॉब्लम आएगी। महोदय, in nutshell, the bill seeks to include provision of site regulation in the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 in order to control illegal trade in wildlife, their parts and products. Number 2, it also envisages to constitute a standing committee of SBWL, State Board of Wildlife, rationalize the schedule in the Act from current 6 schedule to 4 schedule, and second for protected animal species, schedule 3rd for specified plants, and schedule 4 for site listed species. In the amendment, the monetary penalties for contravention of the provision of the Act are proposed to the increase so as to ensure that it function as a deterrent in present times. महोदय, इसमें इस एक्ट में बात किया गया है अबाउट इन्वेसिव फाउना एंड फ्लोरा। हम बड़े अच्छी तरह से परिचित हैं। एक प्लांट है जिसको हम कहते हैं वाटर हाइसिंथ, जलकुंभी, और ये कहाँ आया? करीब 1774 के पास आया, और ये लेडी हेस्टिंग्स कलकत्ता में लाई थी, और उनको उसके बैगनी फूल बड़े खूबसूरत लगे, चमकीले पत्ते ले आए, और लग गया आज केवल भारत नहीं, पूरे साउथ ईस्ट एशिया के लिए जलकुंभी एक प्रॉब्लम हो गई है। और मैं तो डल झील में गया था, कश्मीर, वहाँ भी है। तो आज पूरा साउथ ईस्ट एशिया इस इन्वेसिव प्लांट से, और आज चाहे नॉर्थ इंडिया हो, एटलीस्ट मैंने नॉर्थ इंडिया तो देखा ही है, चाहे बंगाल हो, बिहार हो, सब जगह जितने हमारे वाटर बॉडीज थी, गाँव में जो तालाब थे वो पट गए हैं जलकुंभी से। और तमाम जो हमारे किसान उसमें से खेती करते थे, तमाम प्रोडक्ट उसमें से पैदा करते थे, मछली पालन करते थे, सिंघाड़ा पैदा करते थे, वो ख़त्म हो गया। हमारे कुछ बंगाल के मित्र हैं जिनको मछली बड़ी पसंद थी, मागुर मछली और सिंगी, आज गायब हो गई हैं क्योंकि ये बहुत कम रह गई है। तो ये जो है इन्वेसिव प्लांट जो है, तो इसमें ये भी प्रोविज़न है कि कोई हम इन्वेसिव प्लांट को ना ला पाएँ, उसको अगर लाते हैं उसके सजाओ। महोदय, इसी तरह से इस प्लांट को बंगाल में कहता है टेरर ऑफ बंगाल। इसी तरह से इन्वेसिव प्लांट के बारे में है लेंटाना कैमरा, ये भी साउथ अमेरिका से आया था, और आज हमारे फॉरेस्ट में इट हैज़ क्रिएटेड हैवक, चाहे वो कर्नाटक हो, बांदीपुरम सेंचुरी में। और जब गर्मी आती है तो सूख जाता है, फायर लगता है, और कर्नाटक में फायर से हजारों एकड़ जो फॉरेस्ट था वो जल गया, जिसमें बांदीपुर सेंचुरी का भी 40 हेक्टेयर लैंड था। तो ये भी एक लेंटाना कैमरा जैसा। तो ये मेरा कहने का मतलब ये है कि ये जो स्पीसीज हैं, जो फॉरेन स्पीसीज आई, जो हमारे देश की नहीं थी और हमारे लिए प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट कर रही हैं, उसका भी प्रोविज़न है, और उसके लिए सीरियस पनिशमेंट के प्रोविज़न दिए गए हैं, जिसके माननीय मंत्री जी को मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ। पार्थेनियम, जिसको कहते हैं कांग्रेस ग्रास, इसको ये जो इसको गाजर ग्रास, ये आया था PL 480 से 1954। जब हमारे पास खाने को नहीं था, हम लोगों के पास अनाज नहीं था, तो अमेरिका से इंपोर्ट होता था अंडर पब्लिक लॉ 480, और उसी के तहत ये प्लांट आया, और आज ये हालत है किसानों के लिए सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है। लखनऊ में अपने घर के सामने मैंने गार्डन लगाया, मैं रोज सफाई करता हूं, फिर उगाता है, तो ये भी इन्वेसिव प्लांट है। तो इसके लिए प्रोविजन है कि साहब इन्वेसिव प्लांट्स, चाहे फाउना चाहे फ्लोरा। इसके बाद तो अपनी बात थोड़ी मैं कह करके समाप्त करूंगा अबाउट इन्वेसिव फाउना। आप देखते होंगे आज बाजारों में, जो मार्केट में आप जाएंगे तो थाई मांगुर बहुत मिलता है। थाई लैंड मांगुर के बारे में यह है, इट ईट्स एवरीथिंग इन द रिवर एक्सेप्ट क्रोकोडाइल। वाले लोगों ने इसको तालाबों में पाला, वाइल्ड में गया, और वाइल्ड में इसकी 6 महीने में इसकी साइज 3-4 किलो हो जाती है, जबकि हमारा देसी मांगुर 250-300 ग्राम का होता है। और आज इसकी वजह से जो तमाम हमारे जलीय जीव थे, हमारी ट्रेडिशनल मछलियां थी, इंडियन मेजर कार्प्स, रोहू, कतला और ये मृगल, नैनी, ये सब गायब होती जा रही हैं। तो इसी का परिणाम है इन्वेसिव एनिमल का भी। इसी तरह से इन्वेसिव दूसरी मछली के बारे में कहूँगा, और उसका नाम है तलपिया। तलपिया ये अफ्रीकन फिश थी, और ये आई अफ्रीका से नहीं आई, ये हमारे यहाँ थाईलैंड और लंका से आई, और ये आई करीब 1960 के आसपास। और आज तलपिया का ये हालत है कि हमारी जो देसी मछलियाँ चूँकि कई बार ब्रीड करती है, और ये ब्रीड करने के बाद आज जो हमारी देसी मछलियाँ हैं जो नदियों में हैं, उसको पूरी तरह से ये रिप्लेस करेंगी। तो मंत्री जी को मैं इस पर धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगा कि इसके लिए भी प्रोविजंस इसमें किए गए हैं। महोदय, कुछ चीज़ें एक अंत में बात करके मैं बात समाप्त करना चाहूँगा अबाउट द वर्मिन स्पीसीज। वर्मिन स्पीसीज आप सभी परिचित हैं, नील गाय। इट इज़ नॉट अ गाय, इट इज नॉट फ्रॉम ए बोवाइन फैमिली, इट इज ए एंटीलॉप। इसी तरह से वाइल्ड बोर, तो इसमें प्रोविजन है वर्मिन का, वर्मिन डिक्लेयर करने का। लेकिन अभी जो तमाम है कि परमिशन मिल जाएगा, तमाम फॉर्मेलिटीज़ हैं जिससे उसका पालन नहीं हो पा रहा है। तो माननीय मंत्री जी से कहना चाहूँगा कि इस एक्ट में जो वर्मिन स्पीसीज हैं उसके बारे में क्लियर कट डायरेक्शंस स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के दिया जाना चाहिए, जिससे किसानों को जो खेती का नुकसान हो रहा है उस पर भी कंट्रोल किया जा सके। थैंक यू वेरी मच डिप्टी चेयरमैन सर, आपने मुझे टाइम दिया, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
धन्यवाद माननीय ब्रिजलाल जी। श्रीमती सुल्टा देव, मेडन स्पीच।
नमस्कार ऑनरेबल डिप्टी चेयरमैन सर, मैं आपका तहे दिल से शुक्रगुजार हूँ मुझे इस बिल के जरिए कुछ बोलने के लिए देने के लिए। और मैं तहे दिल से शुक्रगुजार हूँ मेरे चीफ मिनिस्टर नवीन पटनायक जी का, जिन्होंने मेरे ऊपर आस्था रख के मुझे इतने बड़े सदन में भेजा, जो अगस्त हाउस में, जहाँ मैं कुछ बोल सकती हूँ। सर, हम लोग वसुधैव कुटुंबकम में विश्वास रखते हैं। ये एक ऐसा टर्म है, बस आदमी ही नहीं है वसुधैव कुटुंबकम में, इसमें मेरे ख्याल से पशु भी है, पेड़ पौधे भी है, नदी नाल भी है, सब कोई है। इस वजह से क्या होता है कि ये वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, हम सबका केयर करना चाहिए, हम लोग को सबको हमको बांध के रखना चाहिए, सबको जोड़ के रखना चाहिए। ऐसा नहीं है कि ये जो वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन अमेंडमेंट बिल हम लोग डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं, इससे पहले डिस्कशन नहीं हुआ या इससे पहले नियम नहीं बना। नियम भी बना है, कानून भी है, मगर तब मुश्किल होता है जब नियम को हम लोग पालन नहीं करते, इम्प्लीमेंटेशन नहीं करते। तो जितना भी कड़े से कड़े नियम बनाया जाए, नियम हम लोग बनाते हैं, लोकसभा में भी डिस्कशन करते हैं, अपर हाउस राज्यसभा में भी करते हैं, विधेयक आता है, फिर पास होता है, फिर नियम बनता है, मगर हम लोग जो है, जो नीचे पालन करने वाले हैं, वो उसको पालन नहीं करते। मैं नहीं बोल रही हूँ कि पालन करना सिर्फ उसको देख रेख करना, मतलब वो जो प्रोटेक्शन के लिए पुलिस है कि ये है, जो हम सबका ये दायित्व और कर्तव्य रहता है। जो ह्यूमन है, हम सबको लेके चले। भगवान ने जब ह्यूमन बनाए, जब आदमी बनाए, वो इतना सोच समझ के बनाए कि ये सबसे बुद्धिमान जीव है जो सबको साथ में लेके चले। ऐसा नहीं है कि ये जो नियम है हम लोग के लिए बहुत पहले से, मैं अगर आपको उदाहरण दूंगी तो बहुत पहले से भी देखा जाए तो ये नियम है, क्योंकि हमारे सारे भगवान जो है ना वो किसी किसी एनिमल और पक्षी पशु से जुड़े होते हैं, वाहन के तरफ से। वाहन हम लोग उनको बोलते हैं क्योंकि कभी ना कभी कहीं ना कहीं हमारे जो पूर्वज थे उनको लगता था कि सारे पशु पक्षी कहीं ना कहीं अगर विलुप्त ना हो जाए, इसके वजह से वो लोग भगवान के साथ में उनको जोड़ के रखते थे, उनके वाहन के, क्योंकि जब हम लोग उनको पूजा करेंगे कम से कम हम लोग उनको नहीं मारेंगे। ऐसा भी नहीं है कि बस पशु पक्षी रहते थे, कितने पेड़ पौधे भी हैं जो हमारे जो पूजा पाते हैं, जैसे नीम है, जैसे बेल है, जैसे तुलसी है, ऐसे बहुत सारे पेड़ पौधे भी है। इस तरह से हम लोगों को सिखाया जाता है कि हम लोग कैसे करके हमारा जंगल को रखें, हमारे पेड़ पौधों को रखें, और हमारे जो एनिमल्स और पक्षी है, रेप्टाइल्स है और मामाल से, सबको हम कैसे केयर में रखें। हम लोग उड़ीसा से बिलोंग्स करते हैं। ये उड़ीसा जो है हम लोग को आपको बताना चाहूँगी, यहाँ पर हमारे 19 सेंचुरीज है, 2 नेशनल पार्क्स है, 2 टाइगर रिजर्व्स है, 3 एलिफेंट रिजर्व्स है, 1 बायोस्फीयर भी है। और उड़ीसा एक ऐसा स्टेट है जहाँ पर आपको टाइगर भी मिलेगा, आपको एलिफेंट भी मिलेगा, आपको ऑलिव रिडले भी मिलेगा, और आपको इरावदी डॉल्फिन भी मिलेगा चिलिका में। जो चिलिका लेक होता है वो एशिया का सबसे लार्जेस्ट ब्रैकिश सॉल्ट लेक होता है, जो ओडिशा में, जहाँ अभी भी अगर चलेंगे तो वहाँ पर लाखों के हिसाब से अगर देखा जाए माइग्रेटेड बर्ड्स आते हैं। हम लोग उसका बहुत ख्याल रखते हैं, कैसे करके वो वहाँ पर जो 4 महीने के लिए आते हैं, बहुत सारे हमारे सरकार ने, नवीन पटनायक जी ने वहाँ पर गार्ड्स रखे हैं, लोकल पीपुल जो है उन लोगों को भी रखे हुए हैं, किस तरह से उनको ठीक से कोई मारे नहीं, कोई खाए नहीं। जो बोल रहे थे अभी एक भैया हमारे, जो मेडिसिन के लिए भी कुछ लोग पक्षियों को मार देते हैं, कुछ पौधों को भी मार देते हैं, उनको जगने के लिए हमारे पास में बहुत सारे हैंड्स भी है। अगर देखा जाए हमारे पास में बस ये नहीं है, इरावदी डॉल्फिन के अलावा हमारे पास में क्रोकोडाइल भी है, जो स्वीट वाटर क्रोकोडाइल है, मगर और घड़ियाल बोलते हैं, और क्रोकोडाइल जो है सॉल्ट वाटर क्रोकोडाइल जिसको हम बोला बोलते हैं, जो बोला कुंभीर है, वो हमारा मस्कट था, गौरी मस्कट भी था। अगर देखा जाए जो भारत क्या पूरे विश्व में मिलानेस्टिक टाइगर जो है ना, हमारे यहाँ पर कहाँ पर, जहाँ सिमलीपाल है वहीं पर मिलते हैं। और हम लोग देखते हैं जो ऑलिव रिडले है, इस साल 5 लाख ऑलिव रिडले का जो नेस्टिंग होता है वो प्रजनन प्रक्रिया में ऋषिकुल्या में भी हुआ, और गहीरमथा में भी 5 लाख ऑलिव रिडले ने अपना अंडा दिया। और उसके लिए भी हम लोग वहाँ पर लोकल कमिटीज़ बनाए हुए हैं कि इस तरह से उनको प्रोटेक्शन में रखें, कैसे उन लोग को ठीक से रख सके और ठीक से उन लोग समुद्र में जाए। उस टाइम में फिशिंग करने के लिए भी मना किया गया है गवर्नमेंट से। बहुत सारे काम हैं। वही मैं बोली, एशिया का जो सबसे बड़ा लेक चिल्का लेक है, वहाँ पर अगर देखा जाए तो सारे प्रजाति का भी आप लोग को मिलेगा वहाँ पर, इसलिए उनका भी अभी बोल रहे थे। जो जलकुंभी है ना, जो डाल लेक में दिखाया जाता है, वो जलकुंभी हमारे चिल्का लेक को भी प्रदूषण कर रहा है। कुछ ना कुछ करके सबके लिए वहाँ पर वो व्यवस्था बनाना चाहिए, कैसे वो जलकुंभी को समूल विनाश कर सके, जैसे कि सारे जो वहाँ पर जो मछली है, जो कुछ है, जो वो रेप्टाइल्स है, वो सब कैसे आराम से रह सके। अगर देखा जाए यहाँ हम एक ज़रूरी बात बोलेंगे कि 2002 से 2022 में हम लोगों का जो फॉरेस्ट कवर एरिया था, उसको अगर देखा जाए तो 10,000 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर फॉरेस्ट कवर एरिया हम लोग का बड़ा है। क्योंकि अगर देखा जाए तो ये 48,000 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर था, अभी 58,000 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर बना है। अगर ये मैं नहीं कह रही हूँ या उड़ीसा सरकार नहीं कह रही है, ये अगर देखा जाए ये रिपोर्ट ऑफ फॉरेस्ट सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया का है। जे ई हिसाब से हमारा फॉरेस्ट भी बढ़ रहा है। इससे सोचिए हमारा गवर्नमेंट कितना काम कर रहे हैं, कितना प्लांटेशन हो रहा है, जिसके वजह से फॉरेस्ट लैंड भी बढ़ रहा है। और यहाँ देखा जाए तो हम अभी आएंगे ह्यूमन और एलिफेंट कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में, क्योंकि जंगल भी है हमारा, एलिफेंट रिजर्वर भी है, सब है। अगर देखा जाए तो ह्यूमन एलिफेंट कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होता है, तभी क्या होता है ना, कभी कभी एलिफेंट का भी डेथ होता है, कभी कभी ह्यूमन का भी डेथ होता है इस कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में। इसके लिए गवर्नमेंट ऑफ उड़ीसा ने एक ऐप बनाया है जिसको अनुकंपा मोबाइल ऐप बोलते हैं। अनुकंपा मोबाइल ऐप से हम लोग कितने जल्दी एसग्रेसिया मनी जो होता है वो जो विक्टिम होते हैं उनको दिया जाता है। इसके लिए शायद उड़ीसा ही पहला स्टेट है जिसमें अनुकंपा मोबाइल ऐप बनाया गया है। अगर देखा जाए ये जंगल जो है और ये कंकरेंट लिस्ट में आता है, इसमें स्टेट के साथ साथ केंद्र सरकार का भी सहभाग रहना चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर ठीक टाइम से ठीक से पैसा जाएगा, ज़्यादा अमाउंट जाएगा, प्रोजेक्ट जो जंगल का प्रोजेक्ट होता है उसमें जो हाथी रहते हैं, टाइगर्स रहते हैं, उनके प्रोटेक्शन के लिए जो लोग गार्ड्स रहते हैं उनके लिए अगर ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा पैसा जाएगा तो कम से कम हम लोग उनको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा अच्छे से अच्छा लाइफ भी दे सकते हैं, अच्छा प्रोटेक्शन भी दे सकते हैं। मगर कभी कभार क्या होता है ना, हम लोग को देखे हैं गवर्नमेंट का जो, जैसे हमारे पास अभी भारतवर्ष में 30,000 के करीब हाथीज है, एलिफेंट्स है। अगर देखा जाए तो जैसे नेशनल टाइगर कंजर्वेशन अथॉरिटी है, उस हिसाब से टाइगर कंजर्वेशन अथॉरिटी के हिसाब से एलिफेंट कंजर्वेशन अथॉरिटी बनाना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये जो एलिफेंट कंजर्वेशन अथॉरिटी बनाने के लिए पहले अगर देखा जाए एलिफेंट टैक्स फोर्स, इसको पहले 2010 में एक प्रपोजल दिया था। पता नहीं क्यों वो प्रपोजल के हिसाब से कुछ अभी तक कुछ हुआ नहीं, कुछ सोचे नहीं। ये बड़ा दुखद की बात है, क्योंकि हम लोग अगर टाइगर के लिए करते तो हम लोग को एलिफेंट के लिए भी करना चाहिए। अगर देखा जाए तो फिर हम लोग देखते हैं कि जो टाइगर कंजर्वेशन अथॉरिटी के माध्यम से जो पैसा खर्चा होता है, अगर देखा जाए तो इस साल 300 करोड़ का बजट आया है टाइगर कंजर्वेशन अथॉरिटी के लिए, मगर पिछले साल जो था वो 350 करोड़ का था। इस साल थोड़ा कम हुआ है। 350 करोड़ जिस टाइम था, 1400 टाइगर को बढ़ा के वो लोग 3000 टाइगर कर चुके हैं। मगर अगर पैसा अगर कम होगा तो सभी कभी ना कभी टाइगर के ऊपर भी उसका इम्पैक्ट आएगा। अगर ये देखा जाए तो हाथी भी इतना है, मगर इस बार हाथियों के सुरक्षा के लिए, हाथियों के लिए खर्चा करने के लिए 35 करोड़ ओनली दिया गया है, बट लास्ट टाइम उसके लिए 70 करोड़ दिया गया था। ये जो 35 करोड़ का भी हम लोग बोल रहे हैं, ये शायद अभी तक मैं तो सितंबर में भी बात की थी, सितंबर तक भी हमारा जो सब बजट था वो बजट नहीं पहुंचा था। अगर बजट भी जो जितना, एक तो कम बजट होता है, अगर दूसरे देखा जाए अगर बजट इन टाइम में नहीं पहुंचेगा तो सबके लिए फिर भी प्रॉब्लम होता है, काम करने के लिए प्रॉब्लम होता है। यहाँ पर क्या होता है ना, 18-19 में 350 करोड़ बजट था और तभी बैघ्र जो टाइगर कंजर्वेशन है वो बढ़ के बहुत ज़्यादा हुआ था। इस हिसाब से अगर देखा जाए जो ट्रेन और हाथी और टाइगर के हिसाब से ट्रेन लाइन में आपके सबके नज़र में आया होगा, ज़्यादातर हाथियों का डेथ हो जाता है ट्रेन लाइन से कट के। हम लोगों को उसको बहुत जोर से ध्यान देना चाहिए कि इस तरह से कि वो जो उनके जो यातायात का रास्ता है उनको किस तरह से अंडरपास बनाना चाहिए। जो हमारा देहरादून का जो वाइल्ड लाइफ इंस्टीट्यूट है ना, वो इसके विषय में प्रपोजल भी दिया था। अगर देखा जाए पेंच टाइगर रिजर्व जो आता है मध्य प्रदेश और महाराष्ट्र में, उसमें नेशनल हाईवे अथॉरिटी ने किस तरह से अंडरपास किए गए हैं, NHI दोनों स्टेट मिलकर, वहाँ पर देखा जाए तो टाइगर को भी सेफ रखा जा सकता है। इस तरह से अगर उड़ीसा में भी NHI के जरिए अंडरपास, जहाँ जहाँ हाथी के ऊपर ट्रेन, हाथी जाने आने का रास्ता है, वहाँ पर अगर हम लोग NHI के हिसाब से, NHI से मिलके गवर्नमेंट ऑफ उड़ीसा उसको सपोर्ट करेगा और वहाँ पर अगर अंडरपास बनाया जाता है तो कम से कम जो हाथियों को भी हम लोग सेव कर सकते हैं। और एक बात है, ये जो हाथी है ना, हाथी क्या होता है ना, जो झारखंड हम लोग हाथी और ह्यूमन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट उड़ीसा में ज़्यादातर दिखाई देता है। इसके वजह से झारखंड में जो डलमा है एरिया, वो डलमा अंचल से वो एरिया से पश्चिम बंग होते हुए बांकुरा और मेदिनीपुर से बहुत सारे हाथी उड़ीसा में चले आते हैं। अगर देखा जाए वो मयूरभंज जिला है जो हमारे राष्ट्रपति जी, महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी का जिला है, अगर वहाँ दिखा जाए मयूरभंज में रास गोविंदपुर और बेतनटी रेंज जो उसमें, और देखा जाए तो बालेश्वर की जड़ेश्वर और निर्गिल रेंज में ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हाथी वहाँ पर आते हैं और सारे खेती बाड़ी नष्ट कर देते हैं। किसान बेचारा क्या करे? अगर देखा जाए जो वो फसल लगाता है, जब वो काटने का वो बोता है कितने मुश्किल से और इतना परिश्रम करता है, फिर उसका सब कुछ परिश्रम खत्म हो जाता है जब हाथी आकर उसका जो सुनहरा फसल है उसको सारा नष्ट कर देते हैं। वो मेरा ये सुझाव है, अगर बिल में इतना सारे सब काम है तो देखा जाए तो हाथी को पहले देखना चाहिए कि वो क्यों अपना जो स्थान है वो छोड़कर दूसरा स्थान जाता है। शायद वहाँ पर उनको ठीक से खाने के लिए नहीं मिल रहा, उनका खाने के लिए अगर प्रावधान वहाँ पर करना चाहिए जो डलमा में, और वहाँ पर अगर क्या पानी है, पानी कम है या खाना कम है, किस तरह से वो लोग वहाँ से निकलकर वेस्ट बंगाल के जरिए फिर हमारा उड़ीसा आते हैं और ख़राब होता है सारा चीज़, उसको देखना चाहिए और उसको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा गुरुत्व देना चाहिए कि वहाँ पर कैसे उन लोगों को रखा जाए। पता नहीं, मैं तो सोचती हूँ कि एक सर्वे भी होना चाहिए। पहले हाथी लोग कितना दूर चलते थे खाना खाने के लिए, अभी हाथी कितना दूर चलते, इसका मतलब कहीं खाने के लिए कम होता है उनके आसपास। और ऊपर से अगर हाथी लोग चलते रहते हैं, जो स्टेट होके वो लोग जाते हैं, उन स्टेट को लेके कोऑर्डिनेशन कमेटी बनाना चाहिए। जो फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट है, जब हाथी आते हैं चल के, वो भी खाना खा के भी चले जा सकते हैं, मगर हम लोग उसके साथ छेड़खानी करते रहते हैं। जब जहाँ मिल जाए उसके साथ छेड़खानी करते रहते हैं। अगर कोऑर्डिनेशन कमेटी बनाया जाएगा तो कम से कम छेड़खानी नहीं होगी। हाथी लोग अगर आएंगे भी वो अपने रास्ते से भी चले भी जा सकते हैं। ये बहुत सारे ये, मगर हम लोग के स्टेट में हम अभी भी बोलते हैं कि स्टेट में हमारा जो बिजू पटनायक के नाम से माननीय मुख्यमंत्री नवीन पटनायक जो लोग अच्छे काम करते हैं उनके नाम से हम लोग उनको अवार्ड करते हैं। कम से कम ऐसा अवार्ड होना चाहिए सारे भारतवर्ष में, जो आगे बढ़ के जो लोग वाइल्ड लाइफ को और फोना और फ्लोरा को जो लोग प्रोटेक्शन देंगे उन लोगों को अवार्ड होना चाहिए। और देखा जाए तो हमारे फ्लोरा और फोना को भी हमारा प्रोटेक्शन के साथ साथ सबके लिए वो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, क्योंकि हम अभी बोल रहे थे गाजर घास, हमारे यहाँ भी गाजर घास दिखाई देता है। जो गाजर घास सारा ज़मीन का है ना, जो खेती होता है वो सारे ज़मीन के खेती को नष्ट कर देता है। ये हमारा शेड्यूल एरिया, हाँ हम एक मिनट में साथ, जो शेड्यूल एरिया दिया गया है बहुत सारे अच्छे विचार भी है इसमें। जैसे आर्म्स का जो रिन्यूअल होने के लिए 5 किलोमीटर था, अभी 10 किलोमीटर कर दिया गया है, ये बहुत अच्छा है। मगर जो खेती होता है, जो किसानों का जो नुकसान होता है ना, उसके भरपाई के लिए मैं तो इसमें चाहूँगी, गुजारिश करूँगी, थोड़ा अच्छे से अगर आप कंपनसेशन दे दे, कम से कम किसान भी बच जाएगा और जानवर भी कहीं ना कहीं बच जाएगा, जानवर भी नहीं मरेगा। और हमारा जो बायोडाइवर्सिटी है उसको हम सबको मिलके बचाना है। ये हम सबका दायित्व है और ये सबका रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, सरकार का भी है, हमारा भी है। हमारा सरकार कर रहा है, उड़ीसा सरकार। मैं चाहूँगी कि केंद्र सरकार का हाथ अगर आगे थोड़ा आए तो हम लोग और ज़्यादा अच्छा काम कर सकते हैं। नमस्कार। वंदे उत्कल जननी, जय जगन्नाथ।
धन्यवाद श्रीमती सुल्टा देव जी। माननीय अयोध्या रामी रेड्डी जी।
Sir, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill 2021. Positives of this bill. The Act prescribes imprisonment terms and fines for violating the provisions of the Act. The bill increases these fines from up to 25,000 to up to 1 lakh rupees for a general violation and 10,000 rupees to 25,000 for a specially protected animals. Such a provision is a good step towards reducing incidences of poaching, cruelty towards animals or any other related violence. violations. Implementation of CITES. This bill aims to implement the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, an international agreement that regulates the international trade of wild animals and plants in order to prevent any threat to their extinction of the species. The bill will provide for the designation of a management authority which grants export or import permits for trade of specimens, and specific authority and scientific authority which gives advice on aspects related to impact on the survival of the specimens being traded, thus bringing us under a global agreement and is therefore a welcome provision. So problems need to be addressed in this bill. The issue of vermin. In the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill 21, any species falling under Schedule 2 may be declared as vermin. The bill also does not define the word vermin, thereby empowering the central government to directly declare any species as vermin. The particular species will not be covered under the Wildlife Protection Act and can be hunted or culled without restriction and once declared vermin. This specific change is projected to impact 41 species of mammals, 864 birds, 17 reptiles and amphibians, and 58 insects, as they may be declared vermin and will be subject to hunting and killing. Thus, a more scientific approach should be taken in declaring an animal as vermin. Human-wildlife conflict is another issue that needs to be addressed. This issue of vermin is a part of bigger problem of human-wildlife conflict. Several states have reported crop loss, incidents of crop raiding, and other incidents of crop damage due to animals. However, if the central government starts declaring a lot of these animals as vermin, they would be up for indiscriminate killing. The act of killing could result in severe ecological imbalance and impact the food chain in the region. Thus, a more specific approach has to be taken up in declaration of any species as vermin, and also the human-wildlife conflicts have to be addressed in a better way. So, human-wildlife conflicts are also increasing due to habitat destruction and encroachment and the developmental works, industrialization and agricultural expansion, which leads to reduced forest cover and reduced land for wild animals. Therefore, these issues have to be addressed. In this regard, Andhra Pradesh has taken several steps involving the local community from different areas to help in reducing the animal-human conflict and ensuring protection of their wild habitat. Elephant trade is one of the issues that is effectively addressed in the state. While 43 of the Principal Act clearly provides for a ban on any sale or transfer of captive animals in their ownership, the proposed amendment bill will introduce an exemption clause to Section 43 in the case of transport of ownership of the live elephants. This exception has the potential of encouraging commercial trade of elephants, which may lead to elephants being subject to captivity and brutality. Therefore, the earlier ban should be upheld even in the case of elephants, and additional mechanism may be introduced for acquiring elephants in for religious institutions. Missing species. The species listed in all the 3 schedules of the bill is incomplete, as has been pointed out by several wildlife organizations, as well as the report submitted by the Parliamentary Standing Committee on the bill. And so, there is a need for a greater inclusion of scientists, botanists, biologists, and others in the process of listing all the existing species of wildlife. Elimination of State Board for Wildlife. As per the existing Act, there exists a State Board for Wildlife headed by the Chief Minister as the chairperson and the Minister in charge of Forest and Wildlife as the Vice Chairperson. The proposed amendment bill renders the State Board to defunct and instead provides for establishing of a standing committee of the Board for Wildlife, which is to be headed by the Vice Chairperson, that is the Forest Minister, and not more than 10 members to be nominated by the Forest Minister. Therefore, it decreases the state's involvement and ability to make decisions in matters of wildlife. Andhra Pradesh wildlife conservation efforts are worth mentioning, sir. I would like to state that this opportunity to highlight some of the successful endeavors taken undertaken by the Andhra government toward wildlife conservation. Tiger numbers are on the rise. The tiger numbers in the state have seen a 60% rise from 47 in the year 2018 to 75 in 2022. With 64 in Nagarjuna Sagar, Srisailam Tiger Reserve, 9 in Seshachalam Corridor and 2 in Papikondalu, through a process of taking censuses with a more scientific method of employing drones and cameras. We are also proud to have the country's largest tiger reserve, NSTR, in Andhra Pradesh, spread over 3,727 square kilometers. The first time the black buck survey has been conducted by the Andhra Pradesh State Wildlife Department, started the first ever survey of black bugs along a stretch of islands between the Godavari and Dhavaleswaram and Yanam, with the goal of drawing up a conservation plan to protect the endangered species. Nodal officers are being deployed, especially in places like Vijayawada, Vizag, to prevent cases pertaining to cruelty against animals. The district police have appointed a circle inspector as the nodal officer to protect animals. People may contact the officer to register complaints pertaining to cruelty against the animals or cases of smuggling. There is also an ongoing plan for upgradation of infrastructure in Indira Gandhi Zoological Park in Visakhapatnam. The state has also been focusing on rescuing the king cobras in North Coastal Andhra Pradesh with King Cobra Conservation Program, rescuing a good number of cobras in the past 3 years, to minimizing man-animal conflict across the state. The Forest Department has been working on several areas to address wildlife conservation and would appreciate the assistance of the central government in scaling up these efforts. While inclusion of sites is a welcome step, it is more focused on regulation of trade of wildlife rather than its conservation. Protection of wildlife has to be seen along with protection of their wild habitat, and therefore we need to see the bill in accordance with the Forest Conservation Act and the Environment Protection Act. With these suggestions, we on behalf of YSR Congress Party support the bill. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Professor Manoj Kumar Jha.
शुक्रिया उपसभापति महोदय। ये वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन बिल कई बाधाओं को पार करके आज इस मुकाम तक पहुंचा है। मैं माननीय मंत्री जी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूं। बहुत वक्त लगा, हम सुनते थे कि इस पर ये काम हो रहा है, इस पर ये काम हो रहा है, इस पर यहाँ टेस्टिमोनियल आ रहा है। तो आमतौर पर मैं बधाई के साथ साथ कुछ ऑब्जर्वेशन मेरे होंगे, मैं समझता हूं कि उसके बारे में मैं जिक्र करूंगा। पसंद आए तो ग्रहण करिएगा, ना पसंद आए तब भी ग्रहण करने की कोशिश कीजिएगा। हाँ, संग्रहण कीजिएगा। माननीय उपसभापति महोदय, इस बिल का क्यों आना हुआ, क्या वजह है, ये हम सब जानते हैं। मंत्री महोदय ने अपने आरंभिक संबोधन में इस पर बातें रखी। मेरी चिंता या यूं कहूं कि दुविधा बीते 19 के बाद से, जब से दोबारा सरकार बनी है, अभी मैं एक अपने साथी से बात कर रहा था जो अक्सर मित्रवत ही रहते हैं हमारे भाजपा के साथियों के साथ। तो उन्होंने एक बात कही कि सारी बिल का मजमू कुछ भी हो, एक चीज कॉमन है, कहीं ना कहीं फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर को चोट पहुंचाने की कोशिश होती है। तो मुझे लगता है कि कुछ वर्षों बाद अगर आप ही की सत्ता बनी रही तो राज्य नाम की अवधारणा शायद कहीं खत्म ही ना हो जाए, कि इंडिया इज ए यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट्स के बदले रहे इंडिया इज ए यूनियन ऑफ यूनियन। तो वो एक पहली चिंता है, क्योंकि सब कुछ आप जानते हैं। आप ही मैनेजमेंट अथॉरिटी बनाएंगे, आप ही साइंटिफिक अथॉरिटी बनाएंगे, आप ही को एम्पावर किया जाना चाहिए। माननीय मंत्री महोदय ने एक बात कही, और जो बात उन्होंने सही कही, कि ये यूपीए के दौरान का ही कमिटमेंट था। जाहिर है हमारा कुछ इंटरनेशनल कमिटमेंट, बीते दिनों अंटार्कटिका वाला बिल इसी सदन से पास हुआ, कहा गया कि ये कमिटमेंट है। तो मैं सदन के समक्ष आपके मद्देनजर, आपके माध्यम से कुछ वैसे कमिटमेंट्स भी रखता हूं जिस पर फौरी तौर पर पहल होनी चाहिए, बिकॉज वी हैव लार्जली बीन साइलेंट ऑन दोस। कपल ऑफ देम आई जस्ट नोट। International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, which talks about no distinction. The Committee on Elimination of Racial Discrimination. The International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. United Nations Convention Against Torture and Other cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment. International Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. Blah, blah, blah. Lot many. अभी आज सुबह ही माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी कहा, फिर माननीय विदेश मंत्री साहब ने भी कहा, माननीय सभापति महोदय जिन्होंने आसन ग्रहण किया, G20 की बात की। एक पृथ्वी, वन अर्थ, कहते हैं ना, वन फैमिली वन फ्यूचर। तो सर उसके अंदर सबसे महत्वपूर्ण चीज यह है कि दुनिया में दीवार गिराने से पहले अपनी दीवारें भी गिराई जाए। अब वो एक हमारा उद्देश्य होना चाहिए इसको, क्योंकि ये वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन में भी जब आप G20 में और बाकी देशों के साथ बात करेंगे तो बहुत सारी चीजें आपके लिए एक्सचेंज की बात होगी। अब एक मसला जिसको आपने कमोबेश एड्रेस नहीं किया है पूरी शिद्दत से माननीय मंत्री महोदय, अभी सितंबर के महीने में 8 चीते आए इस देश में, कुनो बड़ी चर्चा हुई, चीते ने कब खाया, चीता कब उठा, चीता ठीक से नहीं सोया, चीता आज रात बढ़िया से सोया, अब चीते ने जवाब देना शुरू कर दिया है, तो चीतामय हो गया था पूरा देश। चीते की आवाज, चीते क्या, चीतामय। अब चीतामय देश में हम भूल गए कि सहरिया ट्राइबल्स के साथ क्या हुआ। बगचा गांव के सहरिया ट्राइबल्स को डिस्प्लेस किया गया। तो मैं देखिए, मैं जानवर एनिमल विरोधी नहीं हो भी नहीं सकता, बहुत ट्रेनिंग मिली है, लेकिन सर ईश्वर न करे कभी ऐसी विधा हो हमें चुनना पड़े कि जिंदा इंसान उनके सरोकारों से विमुख जा कितना दूर तक हम जा सकते हैं। ये इससे पहले सर एशियाटिक लायन आया था, तब भी ये डिस्प्लेसमेंट हुए थे, ये ऑन रिकॉर्ड है। अब तो आदिवासी हमारे जो समुदाय के लोग हैं वो कहते हैं न धरती अपनी न जंगल अपना, और मैं तो उस डिबेट में जाना ही चाहता, वनवासी या आदिवासी कुछ भी कह लीजिए, कोई भी वासी, लेकिन उनके बसावट की चिंता अगर नहीं है, और मैं चीता विरोधी नहीं हूं, फिर से दोहरा रहा हूं, मैं भी बहुत समर्थक हूं चीते का, लेकिन चीता भी ज्यादा प्रसन्न होता अगर उसको किसी का घर उजाड़ना ना पड़ता। अब आइए सर, आपकी जो अभी तक की भी व्यवस्थाएं मैं देख रहा हूं, इसमें 4 मिनट बोल भी गया मैं, सॉरी सर, क्रिमिनलाइजेशन ऑफ ट्राइब्स। ये मैं एक आग्रह करूंगा माननीय मंत्री महोदय से, जब कभी ऑफेंस, आपने पेनल्टी बढ़ाई है, जेल टर्म बढ़ाया है, आप एक बार एफआईआर पढ़िए, किस तरह की एफआईआर लिखे जाते हैं और कौन फंसता है उसमें। बड़े एफआईआर जब क्योंकि वायलेट किया उसने इस कानून को, उस संदर्भ में कह रहा हूं। माननीय मंत्री महोदय का सवाल पूछने का अधिकार है, मैं उनको यही कह रहा था कि नैरेटिव्स ऑफ हाउ ऑफेंसेस आर कॉन्स्टिट्यूट and the actions of accused person, please read the FIR। नहीं, जो जो लॉ के वायलेशन की बात होती है, अब इन्वेस्टिगेटिव एजेंसीज की आपकी अनचेक्ड पावर्स हैं, आप उस पर थोड़ा काम करो, और वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट स्पेसिफिकली टारगेटिंग एंड प्रोसिक्यूटिंग फॉरेस्ट ड्वेलर्स, ये कई लोगों की जो ह्यूमन मानवाधिकार के लिए काम कर रहे हैं, उन्होंने भी लगातार एक बात कही है। एक आग्रह करूंगा कि दुनिया के, खास करके यूएस का भी देखा है कि एक एस्टैब्लिशमेंट ऑफ नेशनल वाइल्ड लाइफ कॉरिडोर सिस्टम, बस 1 मिनट लूंगा सर, 1 मिनट
हो चुका
उस तरह की जो यूएस की तरह का है एक वाइल्ड लाइफ कॉरिडोर सिस्टम हम विकसित करें। और आखिरी में कहूंगा, मैं ये कहना नहीं चाहता था, सेक्शन 1 कई साथियों ने कहा 43, हाथी पे बड़े मेहरबान है आप, मतलब मेरी समझ में नहीं आया, हाथी मेरे साथी फिल्म कितना पहले रिलीज हुई थी, लेकिन हाथी के महिमा मंडन में आपने एक रिलीजियस एंड अदर पर्पसेस, तो बाकी के स्पीसीज ने क्या बिगाड़ा है। और कभी अगर हाथी अपनी जुबान से बोल पाए तो वो भी ये रिलीफ नहीं चाहता होगा, क्योंकि हाथियों के संदर्भ में भी कहा जाता है कि पोस्ट ट्रॉमेटिक डिसऑर्डर जब उसका डिस्प्ले होता है, एग्जिबिशनिज्म की पॉलिटिक्स होती है, तो उसका क्या होता है। बहरहाल सर, मैं यही खत्म करूंगा, माननीय मंत्री महोदय को धन्यवाद देते हुए, और जैसा शुरू में कहा था, ग्रहण करना हो करिए, लेकिन चीते और हाथी की कीमत पर अपने आदिवासी समुदाय और बिछड़ न जाए। शुक्रिया सर, जय हिंद।
डॉक्टर जॉन विटास।
Thank you, sir. Sir, so much has been talked about the various provisions, and the Honorable Minister has concluded his initial remarks by saying that he was reciprocating to the international treaty to which we are part of. Yes. So I have no qualms about it. Sir, my concern is that there is a deliberate design in every action of this government to usurp into the powers of the states. Shivaji is here. Sir, I am astonished that my colleagues from Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, they're all welcoming this bill without understanding the so-called scheme of this government to get into the powers of the states. Bhupendra Saab, you are a nice man, though I don't agree with your politics. You shouldn't be part of this scheme of distorting the federal principles of this country. There are three U's. What are they, sir? One is unitary. They don't want a federal constitution. Thereafter, unitary, unilateral, and they want another thing, that is uniformity. Shivaji, you are here. He represents Tamil Nadu. Sasmiti, I was slightly, I would say, disillusioned. Your party colleague didn't even see through the game. I will come to that point, sir. I will come to the point. Thambidurai, you are also a federal man. You should understand that. Sir, in the Principal Act, Section 29 permits state governments being satisfied in consultation with the state board to authorize the chief wildlife warden to issue a permit to destroy, exploit, so and so. Sir, the clause 11 of new amendment bill tries to take away this right of the consultation with State Board of Wildlife by proposing to substitute the same with national board, not only infringing the cooperative federalism, the principles, but also having far-reaching consequences as the national board can effectively block any proposal from the state. Sir, do you think that this country should be run only by the central government? You want only the union government, you dismiss all the state governments. Even other ways, you have a dangerous scheme of destabilizing opposition-led state governments. If you can't do that, you disrupt the government, you defame the government. Even the bill camouflages your intention of taking away every right of the state government, sir. I strongly oppose this bill because of this, sir. Sir, one more thing, sir. I will come to another clause. Sir Smithji, you should be supporting my bill. You are supporting the government without knowing the nuances of this bill. Now, clause 27 of the new amendment bill proposes for adding a new proviso to section 43 of the Principal Act. Transfer or transport of captive elephant for religious, okay, I will know. And this should be prescribed by the central government. Sir, हम कहाँ सर? आप बिहार से सर? बिहार गवर्नमेंट का कोई इरादा नहीं है क्या सर? है? Sir, should we surrender all the powers to them? Don't we have a federal constitution? They harp on cooperative federalism every time, from Prime Minister. But even for a bill like this, they get into the small nitty-gritty where the state government has some flexibility. Sir, I would say there are so many clauses which infringes on the rights of the state government. Sir, give me, this is very important. This deals with the federalism of this country. Sir, the chairman has been very liberal today. You should also talk his line.
According to chairman, I am going by the rules.
Declare in the vermin.
Conclude.
Sir, declare in the vermin. Sir, whenever we meet the minister, he says, no, we cannot allow the wild boar to be killed in Kerala because the tiger has to be given its feed. Sir, aap tiger ke liye kya? You're not for the human beings. You know the havoc being played in Kerala? See, I would say, in a single year, 88 people have been killed. Incidence of crop damage is more than 2,000, despite the fact that we have increased the forest cover. Sir, don't blame us. We have been deliberately, consciously trying to, nurture the forest cover. But what are we being paid at? You don't allow us. Farmers are fleeing their cultivated land. Thakur Sahib, you are a farmer. Today you are being harping about the Dhartiputra, Karshaputra. What more? You don't want the farmers to survive here? I would request the Honorable Minister, he should strike a balance. He should try to make sure that the rights of the states are protected. He should also make sure that the lives and the livelihood of the people are protected, and all these clauses which are detrimental to the principles of federalism should be withdrawn. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, John Britas. Mani Anil Hegde ji made a speech.
Deputy Chairman, sir, I rise to speak on the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill 2022. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the government for inserting provisions to control the invasive alien species. Sir, these invasive alien species have done irreparable loss elsewhere in the world and even in our country. These invasive alien species are not natural to our biome. Genetically modified organisms are also invasive alien species, sir. These need deadly pesticides and herbicides. These herbicides and pesticides harm the bees. Bees are, they are pollinators. Because of the pollination, we get more yield. Sir, आपने हाथी के बारे में, एलिफेंट के बारे में भी इसमें जिक्र है. मैसूर के पास जो बंडीपुर फॉरेस्ट एरिया है, वहां पर उस इलाके में एचटी कॉटन लोग का फसल वो उगाते हैं. वहां पर ड्रोन में ये हर्बिसाइड्स का छिड़काव होता है. वहां पर ये हाथी अधिक संख्या में वहां पर आता है कॉटन का फील्ड में, और इसके बारे में आज तक स्टडी नहीं हुआ है कि हाथियों के ऊपर ये जो हर्बिसाइड का छिड़काव के वजह से क्या हानि पहुंचा है. ये सब चीज का ध्यान में रखते हुए हमारे पार्टी का नेता और बिहार के मुख्यमंत्री जी और 2009 में उस समय का तत्कालीन एनवायरनमेंट मिनिस्टर को चिट्ठी लिखे थे जब बीटी ब्रिंजॉल का जो वहां पर जीएसी ने क्लियरेंस दिया था. और मैं आई वांट टू कंग्रेचुलेट जयराम रमेश जी, हु वाज देन एनवायरनमेंट मिनिस्टर. इन्होंने देश भर में इसके बारे में लोगों का पब्लिक हियरिंग 7 जगह पे रखे और लोगों को ऑपोजिशन को सुना, और उसके बाद उन्होंने मोरेटोरियम लगा दिए. सर, this I'm sorry, we got to know that on October 25th the GESC, Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee under your ministry, and has given clearance for GM, genetically modified mustard. Sir, India is a center of origin, center of diversity for mustard, sir, and because of this, these will need lot of herbicides, because of which the pollinators will die, pollinators will get extinct.
माननीय हेगड़े जी, माननीय मंत्री जी कुछ कहना चाहते हैं.
लेकिन मेरा ये कहना है कि चर्चा जो है वो वाइल्ड लाइफ एक्ट पे है, जीएम क्रॉप्स पे नहीं है. उसके लिए अलग से प्रश्न आएगा, मैं जवाब दूंगा. आप
पॉलिनेटर्स खत्म हो रहा है, बीज खत्म हो रहा है, इसके जिसको हर अमेरिकन टेक्नोलॉजी आप लेके आ रहे हैं. आप ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग के बारे में बात करते हैं.
माननीय हेगड़े जी, द सब्जेक्ट इज वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट.
ठीक, मैं एक आधा मिनट. सो my appeal to you, sir, is that GMOs also should be listed as invasive alien species, and I request you, I appeal to you to take care that these invasive alien species are not introduced in the country. And because based on the precautionary principle, I appeal to you through the Deputy Chairman that we should not rush through the bill in a hurry. Thank you.
माननीय जोस के मनी।
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, this Wildlife Protection Bill amendment has a lot of concern in general and also in particular to the state of Kerala. As you know, Kerala is a small strip of land of the national level extent. 1.1% only Kerala has. And population, densely populated about 3.13% when you compare to the national level population. And we have about the forest area of approximately 27-28%, which is more than the national forest. And also the forest cover, it is 54% when you compare to the national level. The government of India is aiming at 33%, we have 54%, sir. So it is evident that the state government or the Kerala state or the farmers, the people protect the forest and also the environment. Now, this bill has totally neglected the human-animal conflict is neglected by the bill. Kerala is one of the densely populated states in the country. It has, as I said, the forest cover is very high. Since 2011, 34,875 instances of wildlife conflict were reported in Kerala. During the last decade, more than 1,300 humans lost their lives and more than 7,000 injured. This is what has happened in Kerala alone, sir. Now, the Wildlife Protection Act states the meaning is to protect the animal from the human. That is presuming that the animals will be inside the forest. Now it is about 50 years back, actually it was introduced in 1972. For more than 7 decades have lapsed. The situation was changed. Now the animal has started coming to the habitat area and attacking the human beings. Suppose for self-protection, if we kill the animal, we are behind the bar and the animal is protected. As the Bita said, if you ask the government why, even if you take up the wild boar, it's a huge population. The wild boar actually after the 2018, the flood, you see 40% of the wild boar animals are not in the forest, they have come to the habitat area. Now it is food for the tiger. Actually, tigers are coming out to the habitat area to catch the wild boar and they attack the human beings. This is the fact of life, actually. Now, for this, we need to amend some suggestions are there to the government. That is, one, declare the animals like wild boar as vermin, as their population has multiplied in 1,000 times, now lives in human habitations. Government should amend the Wildlife Act 1972 to allow the state government to declare wild animals as vermin as when the situation arises. Second, based on the existing wildlife law, people are not able to protect themselves against the attack from wild animals that encroach into their life space or agricultural lands. Amend the law to give protection to people who attack animals in self-defense and exempt from their charges. In lines of Motor Accident Claims Tribunal, set up a Wildlife Accident Claims Tribunal for granting adequate and timely compensation for the loss of life and agriculture crop due to the wildlife attacks. The last point, in order to prevent further loss of human lives and to control the damage caused by the wild animals in areas outside the forest.
Thank you.
500 meters interior from these should be forest boundary, human sensitive zone, so as to restrict wild animals at the HSZ, that is human sensitive zone border.
Thank
because
you,
you
Justice. Thank
see
you.
that Kerala House, the
Thank you.
forest cover of 54%.
Shri Kanak
We
Medla
are
Ravindra
protecting
Kumar
the
ji,
environment
please.
and the
Shri
forest.
Kanak Medla
So the
Ravindra
sensitive
Kumar,
area should
now
be
you have to
inside
speak.
so
Please.
that animals does not
Please,
come
no,
into the
it's not going on
habitat
record now. Please. Shri Kanak Medla Ravindra Kumar ji.
Sir, thank you, Chairman, sir, for giving this opportunity. Sir, we have to discuss with this act, not in the Indian scenario, we have to discuss in the global scenario this aspect is concerned. Sir, I would like to state that the ecological security and the environmental security means the protection and the safety of the wild animals, birds and plants, as they are also part and parcel of the ecosystem. That's why it's a prime responsibility that each and every citizen, as well as the entire society, to see the wildlife, especially wild animals, birds and plants are protected. Security and safety of these things have to be taken to be prime consideration. Sir, clause 2, subclause 6, prior to this amendment, there was a definition which was, it included cattle. Subsequently, in the 1991, the amendment, it was omitted. At the same time, there is a part 1 schedule also that is termed elephants have to be protected. So my suggestion is that it is to be incorporated in the schedule because Asiatic elephant is there. It includes the Asiatic elephant but excludes the tamed elephant so that it can be protected. Sir, coming to the another clauses, it concerns clause 3 of the bill, which talks about invasive alien species. I will give an example from my home state of Andhra Pradesh, how introduction of an exotic plant spices 1980s in Seshachalam Hills. It covers, it has distributed ecological balance in Chitturu, Kadapa and Nelluru districts of Andhra Pradesh. Now we have to replace it with native spices. Otherwise, the entire biosphere of Seshachalam, which is home for several epidemic plants, like lead sand, cycas, etc., would be destroyed. Clause 3, which deals with, it's a good move, sir. Secondly, Appendix 2, Schedule 4, Item 444, it has mentioned that Petrocarpus, it is the scientific name for red sandal tree, which is available only in Seshachalam forest in Chitturu, AP. It is smuggled out of the country by local smugglers. You might have seen, if you saw the movie, that there is a recently movie also taken in Pushpa. And sir, it is smuggled on our country, and any action for smuggling of red sander is under Customs Act, not under the Wildlife Protection Acts. It is because the tree is not in a scheduled species. So I suggest for consideration of the Honourable Minister to include the red sandal under the relevant schedule with the help of the taking action under the legislation remedy. Thereby we can reduce smuggling and save the red sandal from extinction. Because in Andhra Pradesh is a large, huge amounts, crores of rupees are getting by the smugglers, and the local government is also not taking care of to curb that practices. Sir, the next point are clause 62 of the bill empowers the government of India to declare any animal as vermin. Sir, we call it vermin as a nuisance animals, as they destroy our crops and kill livestock and spread diseases. It does not mean that we kill them and left and right. Nothing has been mentioned in this clause on the process to be followed identified by animals vermin. No transparency and accountability process based on ecological and social evidence has been prescribed. Sir, the movement of wild animal is declared as a vermin. It loses and its legal protection, and such animals become a domestic animal and can be killed, tamed or traded. So I feel it is ecological consequences which led to imbalance. Even the Supreme Court,
please conclude.
Animal Wildlife Board also that are given, categorically given certain directions. So the bill proposes to increase the penalties. That is also welcome move. So, sir, these are the points I wish to bring to the notice of the Honourable Minister and would act accordingly, take the appropriate suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. Sri Ramji.
धन्यवाद श्रीमान जी। कि आपने मुझे इस बिल पर बोलने का अवसर प्रदान किया। वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन अमेंडमेंट बिल 2022 के बीच में जो सरकार के द्वारा माननीय मंत्री जी ने कहा कि साइटिस के बीच में इंटरनेशनल एग्रीमेंट होगा सरकार के द्वारा, तो इसमें कुछ शंकाएं मन में आती हैं कि हम इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे क्या अपने वाइल्ड एनिमल्स का या प्लांट्स का कोई ट्रेडिंग करने की शुरुआत करने जा रहे हैं। इसको रोकने के लिए क्या कोई व्यवस्था इसके अंदर है, क्योंकि साइटिस में ये बात देखी गई है कि कहीं ना कहीं से पूरे देश वर्ल्ड में लीगल या इलीगल रूप से वाइल्ड एनिमल्स या प्लांट्स का भी एक ट्रेडिंग की शुरुआत हुई है। इस पर कई सारी संख्याएं हैं। और दूसरी, श्रीमान जी, माननीय मंत्री जी के आपके माध्यम से माननीय मंत्री जी से मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि कई सारी चीज़ें देखने को मिली कि वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन बिल के तहत जो आदिवासी जंगलों में रहते हैं या वनवासी जंगलों में रहते हैं उनको विस्थापित करने की व्यवस्था है और उनको सिर्फ 10 लाख रुपए का मुआवजा मिलता है। लेकिन इस 10 लाख रुपए में ना तो वो जंगल से बाहर जाके अपना घर बना सकता है, ना ही अपने जीवन का भरण पोषण की कोई व्यवस्था कर सकता है। इसको देखते हुए माने आपके माध्यम से सरकार से कहना चाहूँगी इस व्यवस्था को बढ़ा के 10 लाख की बजाय से 25-50 लाख रुपए देने की व्यवस्था की जाए। और साथ ही अगर ये जंगल जमीन किसी उद्योगपति के लिए खाली कराई जाती है तो उसके लिए कोई कठिन से कठिन नियम कानून बनाए जाएं ताकि ये जंगल और जमीन में रहने वाले लोगों को सिर्फ प्रॉफिट के लिए उन्हें नहीं हटाया जाए। और चूंकि अभी एक ऐसी घटना देखने को मिली है छत्तीसगढ़ के जंगल में हासदेव अरण्य को बचाने के लिए पूरे वहाँ पे छत्तीसगढ़ के आदिवासी भाई लोग एक हुए, लेकिन वो अपने हासदेव अरण्य को नहीं बचा पाए। उसमें 4.5 लाख पेड़ काटने का आदेश हुआ, 10,000 आदिवासियों को विस्थापित करने का आदेश हुआ, जबरन फोर्सफुली उनको विस्थापित किया गया जबकि वो नहीं चाह रहे थे। उसके बाद वहां से बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियां आएंगी, वहां के वन संपदा के साथ ही जो वहां पे भूमि संपदा है, खनिज संपदा है, उसका दोहन करने का काम करती हैं। ये चीज़ों को मैं माननीय मंत्री से आपके माध्यम से कहना चाहूँगा कि इसके लिए कोई ना कोई ठोस कदम उठाएं, कोई ठोस व्यवस्था की जाए ताकि उनका जो वनवासी हैं, आदिवासी समाज के लोग हैं, उनको बचाया जा सके। साथ ही मैं आपके माध्यम से माननीय मंत्री जी का ध्यान मैं अपने लखीमपुर खीरी की तरफ लाना चाहता हूँ कि लखीमपुर खीरी का जो अधिकतम क्षेत्र है वन आच्छादित है और तराई क्षेत्र होने की वजह से वहाँ पर कई सारे जीव जंतु वहाँ पे जंगलों में देखने को मिलते हैं। टाइगर भी हैं, भालू भी है, हाथी भी है और वहाँ पे चीतल भी है, हिरण भी, तमाम तरह के वन्य जीव देखने को मिलते हैं। और इन वन्य जीवों का और मनुष्यों का वहाँ पे रहने वाले लोगों के बीच में तमाम कई बार आपस में उनका एक द्वंद्व होता है। उसमें कई सारे हमारे लोगों की जानें गई हैं। पिछले 2-3 महीने के अंदर 6 लोगों की मौत टाइगर के द्वारा हुई है और वहाँ पे सरकार की तरफ सिर्फ 5 लाख रुपए का मुआवजा है, जबकि वहीं महाराष्ट्र के अंदर कोई अगर वन्य जीव के द्वारा किसी भी व्यक्ति की मौत होती है तो 20 लाख रुपए मिलता है। तो ये प्रावधान सरकार लेके आए कि एकरूपता होनी चाहिए। एक मनुष्य की जो जीवन है महाराष्ट्र में 20 लाख रुपए है, उसी मनुष्य का जीवन उत्तर प्रदेश में 5 लाख रुपए का है। इस पर भी एकरूपता होनी चाहिए। मैं माननीय मंत्री जी की तरफ आपकी तरफ से ध्यान देना चाहूंगा। थोड़ा सा एक लास्ट पॉइंट में कहना चाहूंगा कि चूंकि मैं लखीमपुर से ही हूँ तो 2 बातें मैं लखीम कर रहा हूँ। एक तो ये बात, तो दूसरी बात कहूंगा कि तराई क्षेत्र होने की वजह से वहां पर बहुत सारे वेटलैंड इकट्ठे बन जाते हैं बरसात के समय और उन वेटलैंड के में तमाम तरह की जैव विविधता उत्पन्न होती है। तमाम तरह के बाहर से साइबेरियन पक्षी आते हैं जो ठंडक में वहां पे रहते हैं, यहाँ तक कि सारस और हंस जैसे पक्षी भी वहां पे अपना बसेरा बनाते हैं। लेकिन कुछ दिनों के अंदर देखने को मिल रहा है कि बड़े बड़े भूमाफिया अधिकारियों से मिली भगत करके उन वेटलैंड को पार करके वहां पर प्लॉटिंग करते हैं, मकान बनाते हैं। इसको भी रोकने की व्यवस्था मैं आपके माध्यम से सरकार से चाहता हूं। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद माननीय राम जी। माननीय ऑनरेबल श्री जी.के. वासन।
It's our collective responsibility to protect the environment, sir, which is essential for the survival of flora and fauna, sir. Sir, I would seek a clarification from the Honorable Minister, sir. One aspect, sir, traditionally the declaration of wild animal and vermin has been done without any scientific assessment or study. In the case of this bill, sir, it could now mean that species such as striped hyena, Indian fox, Bengal fox, etc. could be declared as vermin very easily. This could have far-reaching consequences for the environmental ecosystem and may result in an imbalance. It could also affect other endangered species which could be harmed due to traps set out for hunting and sale of vermin Therefore, sir, there is a need for clarity on what types of animals can be declared as vermin. The overall sentiment and direction of the bill is something that no well-wisher of the country and the flora and fauna can deny. With these words, sir, I welcome the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Mani Abdul Wahab ji. Honorable Abdul Wahab, not present. Mani Sri Virendra Prasad Vaisya ji. Mani Virendra Prasad Vaisya ji, not present. Mani Vinay Vishwam ji. Honorable Vinay Vishwam.
Sir, thank you. दोनों चलता है Sir, I question the purpose of the bill and the intention of the government behind the bill. When I question the intention, I would like to remind the government and the Honorable Minister the famous quote from our traditional scripts, Ega Nidame Logam. The whole universe and the world is one place for a bird's house, Nidam. That was the concept of our forefathers. I share that view. A communist I am, I share that view. The universe and the world is Ega Nidam, in which all of us are supposed to live together. When we say all of us, it doesn't mean that you or me, the humankind, the rich people. No. This earth has a place for the wildlife also, for the plants also. All living beings should have a place there. That's the concept. If you allow me, the wildlife also, for the plants also, all living beings should have a place there. That's the concept. If you allow me to quote Karl Marx, I will quote from him.
Any quote? Karl Marx, quote.
Of course. Sir, Marx wrote, man lives on nature, means that nature is his body, with which he must remain in continuous interchange if he is not to die. That means physical and spiritual life is linked to nature, means simply that nature is linked to itself, not man is a part of nature. This is the importance of nature, sir. I am asking you whether this idea is being shared by your bill. Indian scripts, modern scientific outlook, all are ignored. Sir, again from Marx, even an entire society, a nation, or all simultaneously existing societies taken together are not owners of the earth. They are simply its possessors, its beneficiaries, and have to bequeath it in an improved state to succeeding generations. That's our duty. So we have to bequeath it to the coming generations. And we of today are not fulfilling that. This government is committed to Paris Agreement. We chair the G20. In that way, we are committed to biodiversity, to the environment, in that way to wildlife also. I'm asking the minister very politely, many of the provisions of this bill contradicts the Biodiversity Act, many of it. If we have time, we can explain it in big. So this is a trade-oriented act, amendment, trade-oriented. You are mainly for trade. Trade is for profits. Wildlife and all its subsidiary parts are for trade for international trade. You talk of cities. Cities is regarding trade only, sir. The full form is clear. International trade in endangered species of wild fauna and flora. You asked here, what about GM?
Vinay Viswanji, please
sir,
conclude.
this actually affects the lives of the
Please
wild
conclude.
bees also.
Please conclude.
Bees.
Please.
Bees are important for the
Vinay
country, for the
Viswanji, please
economy
conclude.
also. All these basic approaches are forgotten in this bill. So I request you, please reconsider this. Refer
I'm
this
calling
bill
now,
to a
please,
standing.
please
No, sir.
Please, all of
Please
you have
refer
taken
this
more
bill
time.
to standing
Please.
committee.
Please.
Support me, sir.
Please.
I request him to refer this bill to a standing committee for further
Thank you.
debates, discussion,
Thank you.
to make it foolproof. I
Thank
believe
you.
that he will agree to me. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vinay Viswanji. माननीय राकेश सिन्हा जी.
उपसभापति महोदय, वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन बिल अमेंडमेंट बिल के समर्थन में मैं बोलने के लिए खड़ा हुआ हूं। मैं मंत्री जी को बधाई देना चाहता हूं कि वेल ड्राफ्टेड, वेल थॉट एक बिल को उन्होंने सदन के सामने प्रस्तुत किया है। जिस बात की चर्चा आज से 20 वर्ष पहले होनी चाहिए थी, कन्वेंशन ऑन इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड इन इंडेंजर्ड स्पीसीज, यह समझौता 1973 में वाशिंगटन में हुआ था। भारत ने 1976 में रेटिफिकेशन किया था। 1979 में इसका एक अमेंडमेंट हुआ था। 76 से लेकर लगभग 40 वर्षों तक 50 वर्षों तक हम इस पर ध्यान नहीं दिए। उपसभापति महोदय, भारत को कई बार फटकार मिला। 183 देश इस कन्वेंशन में शामिल हैं। 182 देशों से भारत के ट्रेड पर प्रतिबंध लगाने की भी धमकी दी गई थी। इसलिए मैं प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में जिन बातों पर ध्यान दिया जा रहा है, जो अब तक उपेक्षित थी, लेकिन जो मानव अस्तित्व के लिए, पृथ्वी के अस्तित्व के लिए, हमारे पर्यावरण के लिए आवश्यक है, जो राजनीति का हिस्सा नहीं है। नई दिल्ली में चाहे जिसकी भी सरकार हो, पर्यावरण मंत्री और प्रधानमंत्री जो कोई भी हो, कुछ ऐसे मुद्दे होते हैं जो मानव के अस्तित्व से, मानव के हित से और पृथ्वी के संरक्षण से जुड़ा होता है, वो राजनीति का विषय नहीं होता। लेकिन दुर्भाग्य की बात है कि मैं जिस बात की आज चर्चा नहीं करना चाहता था, लेकिन मैं उस बिल पर आने से पहले मैं उन दो बातों की चर्चा करूंगा। आज विपक्ष से एक बात आई, यह बिल संघीय व्यवस्था के प्रतिकूल है। कैसे प्रतिकूल है उसका कोई तार्किक बात नहीं कही गई। संघीय व्यवस्था कोई नारे की चीज नहीं है। संघीय व्यवस्था की पवित्रता को यह देश जानता है कि राज्य और केंद्र के बीच हमारा संबंध एक पवित्र संबंध है। वह रिश्ता कोई अपॉर्चुनिज्म का नहीं है, अवसर का नहीं है। वह रिश्ता संवैधानिक बातों से सिर्फ स्थापित नहीं है, वो हमारी भावनात्मक बातों से स्थापित है। भारत ने 60 वर्षों से इन्वेजिव प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स के कारण 127 बिलियन रुपए का नुकसान पहुंचाया है 60 साल में। 127 बिलियन का तात्पर्य आप समझते हैं? खरबों रुपया आपने खो दिया। जिन ट्राइबल की बात कही जा रही है, इन खरबों रुपया में तो जिस सहरिया ट्राइबल की चर्चा करते हुए कहा गया कि चिता के लाने से वे ट्राइबल खतरे में आ गए हैं, उनको विस्थापित कर दिया गया है। गलत सूचनाओं के आधार पर सदन में ऐसी बात नहीं करनी चाहिए। सहरिया ट्राइब वहां पर है। मैं माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी को इस बात के लिए अभिनंदन करना चाहता हूं। जो चिता पहली अंतिम बार 1947 में देखा गया, 1952 में ऑफिशियली कहा गया कि चीता की समाप्ति भारत से हो गई। 8 चिता को लाया ही नहीं गया। हमारा जो पृथ्वी का परिवार है, जो हम अर्थ को मां मानते हैं और अर्थ में रहने वाला चाहे पशु पक्षी हो, चाहे वनस्पति हो, चाहे मनुष्य हो, उस भारतीय संस्कृति और परंपरा में जो हम एक दूसरे से जुड़े होते हैं, उस चिता को लाने का काम प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जब किया तो सहरिया ट्राइब के कुछ परिवारों को व्यवस्था के तहत 20 से 22 परिवारों को व्यवस्था के तहत वहीं पर उन्हें विस्थापित किया गया। और सहरिया ट्राइब की स्थिति क्या हुई? जो सहरिया ट्राइब 2 जून खाने के लिए तरसते थे, पर्यटन के कारण सहरिया ट्राइब के लोगों की आमदनी, उनका पर कैपिटा इनकम बढ़ा है, जिस बात के लिए माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का अभिनंदन किया जाना चाहिए, भारत की सरकार का अभिनंदन करना चाहिए। सहरिया ट्राइब आज उन 8 चितों के आने के बाद से, 8 चितों के आने के बाद से उनकी पूरी पर्यावरण बदल गई है, जीवन का पर्यावरण बदल गया है। इससे पूरे देश और दुनिया को जानना चाहिए, सिर्फ 8 चिते नहीं आए हैं। भारत के वन्य जीवन के संरक्षण के दिशा में ये एक महत्वपूर्ण कदम है और इस महत्वपूर्ण कदम को उन ट्राइब के कंधे पर हम पर बंदूक नहीं चलानी चाहिए। आप जाकर सहरिया ट्राइब से मिलकर आइए, जो नहीं गए हैं जाकर देखें। पर्यटकों की संख्या बढ़ने का प्रभाव क्या होता है, ये शायद हम नहीं जानते हैं। यदि यही पर्यटन बिहार में बोधगया के नाम पर, वैशाली के नाम पर बढ़ गया होता तो जीडीपी 7% बढ़ता। आप पर्यटन नहीं बढ़ा रहे हैं, हम पर्यटन बढ़ा रहे हैं। जहां मौका मिलेगा हम लोगों के जीवन स्तर को बढ़ाने का काम कर रहे हैं और वनवासियों के जीवन को सुरक्षित संरक्षित कर रहे हैं। सभापति महोदय, भारत में पूरी दुनिया का 8% वाइल्ड लाइफ है। जो विविधता हमारे जीवन में, वो विविधता हमारे वन्य जीवन में भी है। उस विविधता के संरक्षण में हमें कहां चूक हुई? जब प्रधानमंत्री जी अमृतकाल कहते हैं तो अमृतकाल सिर्फ हमारे लिए ही नहीं है, उन पशु पक्षियों के लिए भी है जिनका भारत शरण स्थल है। हम जिस संस्कृति से आते हैं उस संस्कृति में सिर्फ स्वयं को नहीं देखते हैं, स्व को नहीं देखते हैं, हम स्व में की परिधि को इतना बड़ा करते हैं कि हमारे इर्द गिर्द आने वाले पशु पक्षी और वनस्पति भी आता है। क्या आपको मालूम है कि ऐसे पशु पक्षी 50% पक्षी विलुप्त हो चुके हैं? क्यों विलुप्त हुए हैं? एक कारण तो प्रदूषण और पर्यावरण का होता है, दूसरा कारण ट्रैफिकिंग का है। दुनिया में जिस प्रकार के ट्रैफिकिंग होते हैं, पहला ट्रैफिकिंग का नारकोटिक्स में है, दूसरा ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग है, तीसरा फॉरफिटेड चीजों पर है और चौथा जो ट्रैफिकिंग में आता है वह वाइल्ड लाइफ की चीजों का आता है। इसका मार्केट कितना बड़ा है सभापति महोदय? $19.2 बिलियन का मार्केट 2021 में इस ट्रैफिकिंग से हुआ है। जो भारत के आंकड़ों में देखा जाए तो खरबों रुपए का ट्रैफिक पूरी दुनिया में हो रहा है, जिसमें भारत की भागीदारी 20% है। यदि 150 खरब है तो उसका 20% ट्रैफिकिंग भारत से होता है। जब हम उस ट्रैफिकिंग को रोक रहे हैं, जब उस ट्रैफिकिंग को रोकने के लिए हम कानून बना रहे हैं, तो उसमें कौन सी संघीय व्यवस्था को क्षति पहुंच रही है? क्षति उन माफिया को पहुंच रही है जो अपने स्वार्थ के लिए पर्यावरण को समाप्त कर रहे हैं, जो अपने लाभ के लिए संघीय व्यवस्था को मोहरा बनाकर हम पर आक्रमण कर रहे हैं। उन माफिया को जो वन्य जीवन को समाप्त कर रहे हैं, उनके लिए खतरे की घंटी नहीं है, उनको सीधा सीधा ये चेतावनी है। सभापति महोदय, 1,20,000 प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स इन्वेजिव हैं। इन्वेजिव प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स उनको कहते हैं जो किसी खास देश का नहीं होकर बाहर से आते हैं। बाहर से आने वाले हुए प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स जो स्थानीय अर्थव्यवस्था को, पर्यावरण को खतरा पहुंचाता है, यानी इकोनॉमी को, इकोलॉजी को और एनवायरनमेंट को जो खतरा पहुंचाता है, ऐसे इन्वेजिव प्लांट्स हैं। इनकी संख्या 1,20,000 है जो पूरी दुनिया के 6 देशों में है। उन 6 देशों में भारत भी है। वो देश कौन है? यूनाइटेड स्टेट है, यूनाइटेड किंगडम है, ऑस्ट्रेलिया है, ब्राजील है, साउथ अफ्रीका है और भारत भी है। यानी 1,20,000 प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स भारत पर भी हैं, उसका मैं एक नाम लेना चाहता हूं। उसका लोटाना कैमरे नाम का एक इन्वेजिव प्लांट है जो 1800 ईस्वी में भारत आया था। आज टाइगर रीजन जिसको कहा जाता है, हिमालयन रीजन, उसका 1,54,000 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर में ये प्लांट फैला हुआ है। इसका हमारे क्लाइमेट पर, इसका हमारी इकोनॉमी पर क्या प्रभाव पड़ता है? इन्वेजिव प्लांट्स का हमारे सॉइल की प्रोडक्टिविटी घटती है, हमारे एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोडक्टिविटी घटती है, हमारा क्लाइमेट परिवर्तित होता है। यदि इन इन्वेजिव प्लांट्स को समाप्त करने के लिए बात हो रही, जो 350 से अधिक आइडेंटिफाई किया जा चुका है, और 3% ऐसे इन्वेजिव प्लांट्स हैं जिनकी अब तक हम जानकारी भी नहीं प्राप्त कर पा रहे हैं, क्योंकि दशकों से, सदियों से ये प्लांट्स भारत में आते रहे हैं।
Honorable member, you may continue tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Now I will take up special mentions. Shri Biplab Kumar Dev,
मैं पहले सभापति महोदय को प्रणाम करता हूं और साथ ही साथ मैं राज्यसभा में नया आया हूं और मेरा पहला दिन है और जो हाउस में है आप सभी को मैं अभिवादन करता हूं, प्रणाम करता हूं।
honorable member, like you,
मैं जानता हूं।
no, like you, it is also my first day.
Okay.
And we both must set very high standards. So we will avail the opportunity on some other occasion. Right now, confining only to the text.
Okay.
Thank you.
स्पेशल मेंशन में मैं त्रिपुरा के संबंध में उठाना चाहता हूं।
You'll have to read out the text.
राष्ट्रीय धरोहर के रूप में त्रिपुरा में विश्व प्रसिद्ध मां त्रिपुरा सुंदरी मंदिर के अलावा उनकोटी, पिलाक, भुवनेश्वर मंदिर और बक्सनगर तरीके अद्वितीय सांस्कृतिक विरासत के पुरातात्विक स्थल है, जो कि राज्य के पर्यटन को 4 चांद लगा सकता है। इनकी देखरेख का जिम्मा भारतीय पुरातत्व सर्वेक्षण के पास है। संस्था अपना काम बखूबी कर रही है, मगर राज्य में इसका सर्कल कार्यालय ना होने के वजह से कई बार कम्युनिकेशन गैप की स्थिति उत्पन्न होती है। अगरतला में एएसआई का सर्किल ऑफिस होने से इन स्थलों के विकास और प्रचार प्रसार में राज्य के साथ सहयोग बढ़ाने में मदद मिलेगी। इसके अलावा राज्य में स्थित पुरातात्विक जो महत्व के अन्य स्थानों के अन्वेषण और सांस्कृतिक रूप से महत्वपूर्ण अन्य पौराणिक स्थलों के खोजने की और विकसित करने का भी सहायता मिलेगी। आज प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में समूचे नॉर्थ ईस्ट का विकास हो रही है। इनके मार्गदर्शन में त्रिपुरा सरकार भी प्राथमिकता के पर राज्य के सांस्कृतिक और पुरातात्विक स्थलों का आरक्षण, संरक्षण, उन्हें संवारने का कार्य कर रही है। पुरातात्विक महत्व के स्थलों को संरक्षण एवं सांस्कृतिक विकास के त्रिपुरा में पर्यटन क्षेत्र का विकास होना होगा। श्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में डबल इंजन की सरकार त्रिपुरा के पर्यटन के विशेष मानचित्र पर स्थापित करने के लिए प्रयासरत है। इसलिए राज्य में एएसआई की सर्किल कार्यालय की स्थापना से प्रदेश के पुरातात्विक महत्व और स्थानों को संपूर्ण विकास और उनके संरक्षण में महत्वपूर्ण योगदान मिलेगा, जो कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट क्षेत्र के भारत के अष्टलक्ष्मी के रूप में स्थापित करने के मददगार साबित होगा। सरकार से अनुरोध है कि त्रिपुरा में भारतीय पुरातत्व संरक्षण की सर्किल कार्यालय बनाने का कृपा करें। धन्यवाद।
श्री सुजीत कुमार, श्री संतोष कुमार।
और अंधविश्वासों के विरोध प्रतिबंधित करने के लिए राष्ट्रीय कानून, भारतीय संविधान की अनुच्छेद 51A वैज्ञानिक समभाव के विकास को हर नागरिक का एक मौलिक कर्तव्य बनाता है। इसके बाद भी देश की सभी हिस्सों से काले जादू और जादू टोने की खबरें बड़ी संख्या में आती है। ऐसी कुप्रथाओं के कारण अनेक नागरिकों की मृत्यु तक होती है। ये कुप्रथाओं संविधान के अनुच्छेद 21 द्वारा प्रदत्त जीवन के अधिकार का स्पष्ट उल्लंघन करती है। साल 2021 की राष्ट्रीय अपराध रिकॉर्ड ब्यूरो की रिपोर्ट के अनुसार मानव बलि के कारण 6 जानें गई, जबकि जादू टोने 68 हत्याओं का कारण बना। साल 2020 में जादू टोने के कारण 88 मौतें हुई और 11 हत्याएं मानव बलि के रूप में हुई। वर्तमान भारतीय दंड सहित काले जादू और अन्य अंधविश्वासी प्रथाओं के कारण के लिए अपराधों को रोकने के लिए सक्षम नहीं है। हत्या की सजा देने वाली आईपीसी की द्वारा 308 भी मानव बलि का संजान हत्या होने के बाद ही लेती है। भारत के कुछ राज्यों जैसे महाराष्ट्र, कर्नाटक, छत्तीसगढ़ आदि ने इन कुप्रथाओं के निपटने के लिए पहले है कानून बनाया लिया है, परंतु अभी भी ऐसा कोई केंद्रीय कानून नहीं है जो विशेष रूप से जादू टोना, अंधविश्वासों या तंत्र मंत्र के संबंधित गतिविधियों को कारण किए गए अपराधों से निपटना हो। राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर कानून के अभाव में काले जादू की परिभाषा भी निर्धारित नहीं है। इन सभी कारणों पर विचार कर केंद्र सरकार को राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर एक व्यापक अंधविश्वास विरोधी कानून बनाने की पहल करनी चाहिए, जो सभी राज्यों और केंद्र शासित प्रदेशों पर लागू हो।
श्री प्रोफेसर मनोज कुमार झा।
Honorable Chairman, sir, with your kind permission and with the subject line, India's obligations and commitments under human rights conventions. So, every year, the Parliament passes domestic legislation that is consistent with India's obligations under various international covenants. However, India is also a signatory to various other human and socio-economic rights conventions that remain unfulfilled. The International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, ICESCR, requires that India to enact legislation to ensure civil and political rights for all citizens without distinction of any kind. The convention also talks about discrimination in the private sphere, such as landlords refusing homes to a certain section of individuals. However, no such legislation has been designed in India. The Committee on Elimination of Racial Discrimination in 2007 urged India to take more effective measures to tackle segregation and denial of equal access to health care and education to Dalits and Adivasis, which persist despite the Atrocities Act. Similarly, India is also a signatory to International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which prohibits advocacy of national, racial or religious hatred that constitutes incitement to discrimination, hostility or violence. Despite that, there is no separate legislation or strong laws on mob lynching. Further, under the Genocide Convention, India is obliged to prevent crimes against humanity through international cooperation. However, Rohingyas were expelled from the Indian territory and sent to a place where their lives and freedoms would be threatened. In light of this, I urge the government to honor India's international obligations and bring in necessary legislation and amendments. Thank you, sir. Jai Hind.
Shri Binoy Vishwam.
Sir, thank you. So my mention is regarding the fraud in union government's welfare schemes. Rampant frauds and leaks in several welfare schemes funded by the union government have meant that the intended beneficiaries bear the brunt and are adversely affected. According to the statement made by the Minister of Agriculture and Farmers' Welfare, over 150 crores of frauds have occurred under the PM Kisan scheme due to ineligible beneficiaries drawing benefits. Several FIRs have already been filed in this regard across the country. Similarly, the Pradhan Mantri Bima Fasal Yojana, a scheme to provide insurance protection to farmers who face crop loss, have given abysmally low sums. Farmers have had to face harrowing distress due to such low payouts. Their distress is further compounded by the frauds done by private insurance companies who have pocketed a large part of the money spent by the central government and state governments. Another project of the union government that was portrayed as one of the flagship schemes was the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which aimed to aid economically weaker sections of the society in building homes by providing subsidies, home loans, etc. This scheme has also fallen prey to fraud, with the CBI having uncovered thousands of crores of scams where loans have been granted under fictitious and fake names. Considering this magnitude of scams in question, the government can no longer afford to remain silent. There is an urgent need for the government to immediately conduct an independent audit by the CAG into the working of the schemes, prosecute the culprits, and restructure the schemes to check such frauds. Thank you.
Sri GVL Narasimha Rao. Sri Ilnam Ram Karim. Sri Sushil Kumar Modi. Shri M. Sanmugam, Dr. John Britas, Shri P. Wilson.
Chairman, sir, I wish to raise a matter of urgent public importance relating to the revising of the income ceiling limit for OBCs. Chairman, sir, the expert committee headed by R.N. Prasad on 10/3/1993 identified creamy layer for exclusion of socially advanced persons, and the committee submitted a report categorizing the list of creamy layer persons for exclusions from OBC reservations, which was accepted by the DOPT on 8 September 1993 and adopted for implementation of the scheme of reservation for OBC in central services as well as state services. And regarding the exclusion of creamy layer, the income limit threshold was initially fixed at ₹1 lakh in 1993, and the same was increased and last revised from ₹6 lakhs to 8 lakhs in September 2017 by DOPT. The said income ceiling has not been revisited for more than 5 years and does not take into account the inflation and changes in monetary value and time, leading to OBC persons from achieving equality, thereby hampering the goal to social justice. The 3-year period for revision of the ceiling of ₹8 lakhs for OBCs has already ended on 1/9/2020, and therefore it is a dire need of the hour to revise the income ceiling to ₹15 lakhs as per the recommendation of NCBC in 2015, with explicit mention that income from salaries, agriculture, and traditional artisanal professions are excluded from the income test. This will enable the OBC students to apply for admissions in higher educational institutions as well for the government employment from the academic year 2023 onwards. Alongside, the factors determining creamy layer should also be amended to include more than just the economic factors alone. I therefore urge upon the government to take necessary steps for revising the income ceiling limit for the OBC. Much obliged.
Honorable members, if the House permits, the sitting be continued till the completion of his special mentions. Shri Abdul Wahab.
Sir, my special mention is on minimum pension for ex-servicemen who fought for Bangladesh liberation war in 1971. In 1971, India and its army played a significant role in the liberation of Bangladesh. However, after the war, many of the soldiers who bravely fought the Pakistan army were forced to retire, citing various reasons. For a long time, these ex-servicemen were demanding for minimum pension and include them in ECHS scheme. On February 22, 2019, our Honorable Prime Minister, though agreed to their request to be accepted for medical expenditures under the ECHS, but the demand for consideration of minimum pension for ORS personnel, other rank service, were not taken into account. I urge the government, particularly the Office of Prime Minister, to consider the demand of all who took part in Bangladesh Liberation War, particularly the other rank service personnel with a service of 7 years, be considered for minimum pension scheme and full coverage under the ECHS medical plan. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Shri K.R.N. Rajesh Kumar.
The Honorable and respected Chairman, sir. First, I thank you, sir, to allow permitted the special mention after 6 p.m. And I am also convey my wishes to you. This day is in your life is a historical day. First session of this day of in Rajya Sabha. My special mention in the smart education and the telemedicine program at Kolli Hills for the tribal population under the Article 270/1, Namakkal district in Tamil Nadu. The Kolli Hills in Namakkal district, Tamil Nadu is full of tribal population. Approximately 35,000 people living in 14 hamlets, villages at an altitude of 4,500 feet, spread across approximately 280 kilometers. These people does not have access to proper internet connectivity and network coverage, which in turn affect their daily life. People from this village are climbing up and down daily for their medical, commercial and another needs, assessing employment and job portal, receiving the email communications, internet banking facilities, online education are a nightmare for them. Under Article 275(1) of tribal development grants, to develop their livelihoods and to bridge the gap between scheduled tribe population and others, to accelerate development of STs by ensuring education and health needs. The Chief Secretary of Tamil Nadu sent a proposal to develop the infrastructure to attain the below goals, giving a high-speed internet connectivity through long-distance wireless points, and monitoring the tribal student through online interaction from different parts of the world by experts to bring them at par with urban students, connecting primary health center to give telemedicine facilities with the help of the community assistants, the addressing the many nutrition and another basic health issues for tribal student and the community. The total estimate for the 122 hamlet village places, approximately 5 crores and 0.69 lakhs. I humbly request the Honorable Minister of Tribal to via the Honorable Chairman in this special mention under the 180A to approve the allocate funds for this project for the betterment of the ST people at Kolli Hills, Namakkal district, Tamil Nadu, under the Article 275(1) of Tribal Development Grants. Thank you, sir.
Shri Mujibullah Khan. Shri A.A. Rahim.
This opportunity. The HLL Life Care Limited is a Government of India owned public sector undertaking in Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala. It produces various healthcare products and its brand have large market share in the country and abroad as well. Hindustan Latex Limited has its head office in Thiruvananthapuram and factories in 7 locations across India. 4 of the factories were built in Kerala, such as Perurkada, Akkulam, Kakkanad and Airapuram. The rest 3 factories are in Belgaum, Manesar and Indore. HLL currently has 220 pathology labs, 47 imaging centers and 6 labs under the brand name Hind Labs. It runs a total of 253 pharmacies across our country. HLL runs a subsidiary with the name of HLL Infratech Service Limited. In 2020-21, the company reported a turnover of Rs rupees 5,081 crore. It is employing thousands of persons across states. The HLL also played a key role in providing assistance during the COVID pandemic. This was particularly possible as it is a public sector unit and is not operating merely to make a profit but to serve a public purpose. Hence, Hindustan Latex Limited must not be disinvested and privatized. HLL factory in Kerala is situated on land given by the state government in view of advancing the private sector. Given that circumstances, Kerala has the right to retain HLL as state public sector unit that's free from the center's hold. The land and assets owned by HLL should therefore be retained to Kerala, or alternatively, the state should be allowed participation in this auction. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Amar Patnaik.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. So I rise to make this statement relating to demand for revising the sharing pattern of centrally sponsored schemes for Orissa. So inter- and intra-state regional imbalances stem from an asymmetric growth exacerbated by historical socio-economic backwardness of vulnerable groups, calling for the focused attention of the government. The aspirational districts of program is a step in that direction, with Orissa having 10 out of those 112 districts. However, without any budgetary allocation and delinking 8 centrally sponsored schemes will have a steep increase in the state's share. An immense financial burden has been imposed on the Orissa's exchequer. Further, the unique geoclimatic conditions of Orissa make it vulnerable to multiple natural disasters. The total financial losses incurred by Orissa due to natural calamities from 1994 to 2019-20 amount to 85,313 crore. As per the Revenue and Disaster Management Ministry of Odisha, the state incurred a loss of over 1471 crores to cyclones in 2020-21 alone, impacting over 60 lakh lives, and this is exclusive of the losses of capital assets. Honorable Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik, representing 4.5 crore people of Odisha for the last 22 years, has been demanding natural calamity to be included as a criterion for special category status, or have the status of special focus states with benefits at par with northeastern and Himalayan states. Thus, sir, through you, I urge the central government to rework the sharing patterns of centrally sponsored schemes in line with the geoclimatic, economic, and sociological necessity of states like Orissa. A special allocation should accompany this on developing disaster-resilient power infrastructure with underground cabling connections and a coastal embankment for guarding against ocean water surges. Thank you, sir.
Shri Sanjeev Arora, Dr. V. Shivdasan.
Here, my special mention on Kannur Railway Station. Kannur Railway Station, situated at the heart of the city, is an important gateway to the historic land of Kannur. Kannur has one of the largest network of cooperatives in India, and the district has an educated and skilled population. Kannur is unique in having largest network of public libraries in India. The land has immense tourism potential, as the less explored areas of the district is attractive to those who pursue experience tourism. the railway station at Kannur becomes an important connecting point in ensuring outward and inward mobility, and hence there is a need to develop it to international standards. The government should pay a special attention to the railway station by improving the facilities which are quite minimal now. A railway station of international standards will be a great boost to the economical potential of the land of looms and loads. The development of Kannur railway station will also enhance the potential of the Kannur airport. A synergy of all these avenues of mobility will help in the all-round development of Kannur. The immediate action by the railways in this regard is essential for the land to achieve its true potential. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Fawzia Khan.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Mike, thank you. A study conducted by Toxics Link, a Delhi-based NGO in November, concluded that 2 of the most popular sanitary pads of the country contain 6 kinds of phthalates. Phthalates are most popularly employed as plasticizers in several products, referring to chemicals that ensure a product is soft, flexible, and has reduced friction on the surface. Their usage has dominated the production of plastic products for a long time now, sir. Their presence in sanitary pads can induce endometriosis, complications in pregnancy, underdevelopment of the fetus, hypertension, etc. The presence of VOCs used to add fragrance has further alarmed the situation, as they can potentially have harmful effects on human health. These chemicals are easily procured by the manufacturers due to a loophole in the Bureau of Indian Standards 1980 prescribed test. This test is to evaluate the absorbent filters and pad texture, but remains silent on the toxicity of ingredients so utilized, sir. The optional nature of the test, which determines the toxicity of the ingredients, is also witnessed in the US Food and Drugs regulations and in countries like France, Australia, and China. Hence, a structured approach accompanied by a study or a test of the sanitary pads available in the market should be our top priority. The consumers should be made aware of the presence of such chemicals by labeling these products. It is high time that the government commences to improve and strengthens the standards prescribed, suiting the modern-day scientific advancements, which would ultimately protect the women and the mothers of our country, sir. Thank you.
Shri Ajay Pratap Singh. Dr. John Britas.
Sir, Honorable Chairman, thank you very much. And please don't take objection to what I'm going to say now, because this is with regard to the role of governors and center-state relations. Dr. Ambedkar, during Constituent Assembly debates, referred to the governor's position as ornamental and said that he has no functions which he can discharge by himself. Article does not confer power to overrule the ministry on any particular matter. According to the principles of the new constitution, he is required to follow the advice of his ministry in all matters. I am quoting Dr. Ambedkar, unquote. Sir, 73 years later, the status quo is anything but what has been envisaged by the framers of the constitution. Sitting on a bill passed by the assembly, instead of ascending or returning it for reconsideration as soon as possible, as per Article 200, misquoting the limited discretionary power of governors under Article 163, etc., are common occurrences these days. Sarkare Commission, Punji Commission, National Commission to review the working of the Constitution, as well as the Supreme Court, have all stressed over the years the importance of governor as an autonomous and impartial agent who would serve as a bridge between the state and the center. Various commissions also recommended for introducing the procedure of consultation with the state chief minister in the selection of governors and time limit for taking decisions by governors on granting assent or reserving a bill for consideration of the president or returning a bill for reconsideration. But none of these recommendations have been accepted by the government in letter and spirit so far. I urge upon the government to take urgent steps to implement the recommendations of the said commissions vis-à-vis the governors for upholding the principles of the Constitution and ensuring harmonious relations between center and state, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
I think everyone has had it. Honorable members, the House stands adjourned to meet at 1100 hours on Thursday, the 8th December 2022.